Woo-hoo-hoo! What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode here of The Nation live on the Outlaw Nation channel. As you can tell, I'm messing around with some settings here in the StreamYard, and apparently you can create things that can create a look that has more of your camera shot in it. So I'm doing that. Sometimes I need people to see the books I'm reading or looking at, or the new Captain America Brave New World Funko Pops that I picked up with Red Hulk and Anthony Mackie. And of course, we're going to be talking about Anthony Mackie on the show today. Thank you all so much for joining me live. I appreciate it madly. I'm going to be doing more of these shows every week. Just to give you a heads up, there are going to be a lot of live shows coming almost every week, maybe more than once. Well, obviously it's going to be more than once a week, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. We'll see. Maybe a weekend show as well. There's a lot going on. 2025 is going to have a lot of entertainment news, a lot of movies and TV shows and series and video games and news stories and people talking off the cuff, people not talking off the cuff, and what have you. And so I'm kind of committed myself in 2025 to covering it. It doesn't mean that I won't still do like occasional pre-tape stuff, but a majority of the stuff I want to talk about, I want to do it live. This is just the more natural environment for me to do things live. Other people are really good, like Dan Merle, of editing their thoughts down and putting it into a nice 5 to 20 to 30 minute, or 5 to 12 to 20 to 30 minute video. But for me, I just like being live. I like interacting with the fans, going all the way back to the Outlaw Nation show. And some of you may not be fans, viewers, shall we say, or hate watchers, whatever it is. Welcome. Everybody is welcome here on the Outlaw Nation. It's only going to be the Outlaw Nation for a little while longer. And then, of course, it'll probably move over and become something else in the next month or two. That is absolutely another commitment I've made here to start the year. As much as I've enjoyed the Outlaw Nation, I think it is time to kind of retire it because the Schmodown is done. And you guys have heard me say that over and over and over again. So we'll be looking for a designer to create new graphics and a new look and a new overall approach. So I'm just messing around with this right now. You know, we've got some video backgrounds that we can play with. I think this is a little, I like this one, but it's a bit too distracting, right? Because you're like thinking, what's going on? Is he being set on fire? This one is kind of interesting, this green one here with things moving by, but I want more of a kind of a smoky one. So I'm going to stay with like this energy here, this kind of universe energy, and then hopefully I'll find a one that moves around, a video one. But thank you all so much for joining me today. We got so much to get into on this particular show. Chris Robinson, hello from Italy. Hello, Chris. Ciao. How's it going, my man? Good to see you. I am as you saw by the thumbnail and you saw by the title of this particular episode, the episode is, does Hollywood need to shut up right now? And I know some people might be like, whoa, that's a little harsh. But if you know me, maybe not so harsh. But certainly, I'm in a place now where I'm seeing all these people making comments and talking about things, and it is becoming too much of just a train wreck all around. It's affecting projects, affecting movies, TV shows, people's reactions to them. It's splitting the country yet again with more battles on social media. He had a right to say it. He didn't have a right to say it. If you really analyze it, he's right. Well, why did he say it? It's so dumb. It messes up. There's all kinds of stuff that's going on. Certainly, we've been battling amongst the Geek Buddies and friends, Geek Buddy adjacent friends, about the comments that were made here. And so we're going to talk about Anthony Mackie's comments about Captain America 4 that blew up yesterday, the big controversy, and him walking back those comments, or clarifying, shall I say, the comments that he made. We're going to talk about Hudson Thames' comments, what he said about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and what he felt about it, and why the show attracted him. And of course, the show is out now. We'll be reviewing it on the Geek Buddies at some point this week, so probably Friday when we do our main show, and have that up for you guys over the weekend. We're going to talk about Justin Baldoni's comments, his 2 a.m. We're going to listen to his 2 a.m. voicemail, and then we're going to listen to the comments going back and forth between them this week, giving you an update on that situation, and a trial date that has been set for that situation as well. We're also going to talk about Emilia Pérez's director, Jacques Audiard, and the absolutely boneheaded, moronic statement he made today about the Spanish language and where you see it spoken. And if there's enough time for me personally, I want to get into Quentin Tarantino's comments that he talked about earlier yesterday, I think, or the day before, about 2019 being the last year of films. And the more he sounds like Grandpa Simpson than some purveyor or protector of film. So certainly going to get into all of that as we go along here. Other news stories might break, other stuff might happen, and we'll talk about it all here on the show. And just a quick reminder, the Streamlabs and Superchats are open. I already see that 4 Superchats have come through. The Streamlabs address is right above my head. You know, YouTube takes 50% of the Superchat. So if you send it through Streamlabs, I at least get to keep most of it, which would be nice. So if you want to send support, if you want to send some love, some questions, some thoughts and comments, you want to guarantee it gets read here on the show as we go along, that's how we do it. And I don't know how long I'm going to go tonight. You know, I've got till 6. I don't think this is going to be a 3-hour show, but the Lady Outlaw and I have plans for later tonight. We've been watching Lockerbie. We started that on Peacock. If you haven't seen that show, I can't recommend that show enough. What a fantastically heavy show. If you're in the mood for those kind of shows about a real life terrorist attack that happened there in Scotland, to a plane that had hundreds of Americans on it, some British folks and and folks from other countries as well, and the investigation that was launched over that, the years-long investigation that was launched over that situation. So we're going into the 3rd episode and we're loving it. So we definitely want to jump up and finish that. We finished The Agency the other day. Highly recommend that one on Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus right now is quietly killing it. Let me just tell you, Lioness season 2, Landman season 1, Elsbeth is killing it in season 2. Matlock with Kathy Bates is doing gangbusters. I'm sad that Frasier was canceled. And The Agency. Those are just a variety of shows. Plus, we saw the reality show, The Climb. If you guys have Paramount Plus, you haven't seen The Climb, that's a fun reality show that we enjoyed as well. So Paramount Plus is really killing it. And I'm not even mentioning all the other. 1923 is coming for season 2. People loving Yellowstone. Well, I think Yellowstone's not on that. But the 1883, you know, these other shows that are on there, that people love and enjoy. And I don't know which ones are on CBS and which ones are on Paramount Plus. I'm loving George and Mandy's First Marriage. Now, I've never seen Big Bang Theory consistently. I've never seen Young Sheldon consistently. But something about that guy and Emily Osment, the main actor from that show, I saw them on an interview on the Today Show. And, you know, I grew up with guys like that. They're in Virginia in the South. And so that just kind of clued me in. And now I'm watching that show. And yes, it's a throwaway 21-minute comedy that's just fun to watch as kind of a palate filler or whatever, or, you know, playing around on my phone. But I like the sweetness of that show. And I'm a big, big, big Will Sasso fan. So Will is great on the show. I enjoyed him on Mom, if you guys watched Mom, which was so much fun there with Allison Janney and Anna Faris. So yeah, these are the things that we're watching right now. Love is Blind season 8 just dropped the new trailer, which excites me. Those people look a little regular. They don't look like influencers chasing big accounts so they can think they're important. It's actually real people there in Minnesota, it seems like, and even someone over 40 years old. So I'm glad to see that door being opened on that reality show as well. And we are knee deep into Traitors. I got into Traitors last weekend, watching season 3 of it. I've never seen any season, and we started watching season 3, which is the current season on Peacock with Alan Cumming. But we blazed through season 1 of Traitors UK. We'll probably be starting season 2 of Traitors UK tomorrow, and enjoying that. So if you haven't watched The Traitors, I can't recommend it enough. And I resisted it, thinking it was going to be just some staged, and there is some staged stuff for sure. But I like the drama of it, especially when you're dealing with real people like in the UK version as opposed to reality stars, which is what it is on Peacock. And what else? Is that everything we're watching? Is that everything we're watching? Netflix, Traitors. Yeah, I think that's and we just finished Bookie on HBO Max. If you guys haven't watched Bookie season 2, if you guys haven't watched Bookie, I can't recommend it enough. And look, I've never seen a minute of Sebastian Maniscalco's stand-up, but for whatever reason, we tried out booking because I had read some positive reviews, and we blazed through the first season, and then just we're watching weekly in the second season. And so I can't recommend that enough. So those are the things that I'm currently watching. I haven't gotten out to see any new movies yet, but I've got a screening for Love Hurts tomorrow night, and depending on how the hot mic goes, I might go see it tomorrow night. Or not Love Hurts. What's the one? The horror one with the eyes, the hard eyes. I think I can't remember what that one is called. But I do have a screening coming up, I think, next week for Love Hurts, the Ke Huy Quan film. And by the way, it was announced today that Ke Huy Quan will have a handprint and footprint ceremony up there and at Grauman's theater. So how incredible to see this comeback from Ke Huy Quan and the love people have for him and the outpouring of support. So much so that it's leading to him being able to put his footprints and his hands in one of those what do you call it, concrete squares there in front of Grauman. So who would have thought that? Who would? I'm sure when he went to that premiere of playing Short Round in Temple of Doom, he had no idea it was going to lead to all of this. But it couldn't happen to what seems like a nicer guy. So very, very happy for Ke Huy Quan as well. Yeah, Hard Eyes is the horror movie. Yes, exactly. Hard Eyes. Also, yeah, Companion is coming out this week. I didn't get a chance to see a screening of that, so I'll definitely be going to see it probably Friday and do a review for it over the weekend as well. Jay Scoots says that I'm sleeping on Severance. I'm not sleeping on Severance. I'm just trying to find the right time to start it and watch it and get into it. And I'll probably, most likely, since there is no Super Bowl, there is no NFL this weekend, it seems like, and no college football, it seems like my Saturday is open now. So if I get good enough sleep on a Friday night and I wake up with energy, then I'll absolutely start watching Severance. And I'll probably finish it within the day because it's only a 10 episode series. And I can't imagine it's an overwhelming 10 episode series like The Handmaid's Tale. So I should be able to jump into it for sure. Jacob says, wow, I actually made it to a live show. Normally listen on the podcast feed. Thank you, Jacob, for hanging out with me, man. I appreciate it. We got 200 of you joining me live randomly here on a Wednesday afternoon at 3 p.m. PT my time. And I appreciate it. I probably will start doing these, as I said, a little more consistently, probably maybe around the 4 o'clock time. So a little bit of a drive time approach to things, or maybe I'll just go from 3 to 6, 3 hours of talking about stuff. Cause I like the old school radio guys. This is what I grew up with. People like Stern and Imus and assorted other guys who, does everybody remember the Grease Man from DC? 106.7, I think it was, the Grease Man. I remember listening to the Grease Man. Don and Mike were my big, that was my big guys, Don and Mike. I love those guys growing up in DC. Yeah, there's a lot of guys like that. So that's kind of what inspired me to do this whole thing, along with Mark Maron and Bill Simmons. So, I don't know, just kicking around something in 2025. And I just kind of want to do stuff that I want to do that makes me happy. And, just relying on myself to jump on here to talk about stuff, it's much more relaxing than juggling everybody's schedules, trying to find the right time, doing all the work for it, and then, knocking it out. So this is much more relaxing. I can go at my pace. I can talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. And those of you that want to stick around, I appreciate it. Those who want to leave, I also respect that as well. So it's just me hanging out with you all. And I like the interactive nature. I'm just kind of built that way. I like to talk to people. I like to feel the interactive nature of a show. That's how I'm built. And, this is not a professional studio. And maybe someday, who knows, maybe I will end up in a professional studio. It would be nice. So, yeah, Mike and Mad Dog for sure. Hollywood Rule says, Rocha, are you watching the Rumble? I don't know if I'm going to do a watch. I might do a watch along of the Rumble because I do think pro wrestling veers into entertainment. So I think it still covers, it's still under the window of entertainment here on the channel. So I might do that, but I also might do an after the Royal Rumble reaction video where I just kind of talk live about the Rumble. So I may watch it, make my notes, and then talk about it afterwards. I think that's going to get more views than people seeing me in silence for 20 minutes watching a match or reacting every 10 minutes. I think it's better. Maybe I'll do a separate feed. That's the thing. Another thing of memberships here on the channel. Maybe there are things where I can do memberships. Like you can come on with me and you can watch, if you're at a $5 level, you can watch Royal Rumble or pay-per-views or anything like that with me, or any matches and stuff like that. So just an idea. I don't know how it works with membership, so I'm still learning as I go along. And anybody out there wants to like maybe take a chance to manage my channel and help me do stuff. And as long as you're good at it, I'm certainly wide open for it. And any of you watching right now who'd be willing to help and create new graphics, exciting new graphics, exciting new layouts and styles and platforms here for the channel, that'd be great. And trying to find a new, Love is Blind watch along. Absolutely, Sean Brennan. Great suggestion. Good to see you, Sean. Sean, are you ready, Sean? You got 2 weeks. Are you okay? You got 2 weeks, Sean. Everybody's already coming for your quarterback, Sean. Everybody's already coming for Patrick, calling him Daphne. Oh my. That's a new one. I hadn't seen that one before till this morning. I hope you're taking it one day at a time, Sean. I hope you're taking it one day at a time here as your Chiefs are ready to take on these Eagles. It's going to be a knockdown, drag out, insane fight. And who are the refs going to choose? Because they clearly chose the Eagles against my Commanders with all those blown calls by Nepo Baby Hockley. And on the other side, you saw how many blown calls the Chiefs, the Bills had against the Chiefs. So it's going to be a crazy Super Bowl for sure. Let's see here. Oh. Saber Sith Smith says, do you need a mod for the chat? Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know what a mod would do for the chat. I'm pretty good at catching stuff. And the people who watch the show are pretty good at letting me know when someone is spamming or whatever. So I appreciate that as well. BC Talk says, I couldn't get into the last season of Love is Blind. Haven't seen the trailer for this new season, but from how you described it, I'm hoping it's better. Yeah, it seems better. Like, watch the trailer. It's like I think a minute and 45 seconds. There's also a separate video on YouTube where they're interviewing the people who are going to be part of Love is Blind. And so I would highly recommend you watching that. They seem pretty cool, pretty wholesome people. And so I'm looking forward to seeing this season because I was really, really done after last season. I haven't watched the Germany one, although a lot of people say that's a good one to watch. Couldn't finish the Habibi one, just didn't quite 100% connect with me. But I haven't seen the Argentina or Mexico one yet. But I did I think it was the Sweden one. I thought the Sweden was really good. And I think we watched another one that I really liked and what have you. So yeah, I'm a big Love is Blind person. I like that show. I liked it, but it had gotten a bit much over the last couple of seasons. And you could tell that people are just on there to make themselves internet famous and take the shortcut to fame instead of, working for it and earning it. That didn't feel like the right thing for me, but maybe the new approach is good. Oh, Sean, yeah, I got to do the Japanese one, Sean. Absolutely. I'm not sure if the Lady Outlaw is going to go with me into the Japanese one because she's a little love is blinded out, but I need to jump on the Japanese one. Great suggestion, man. I'm going to put that on my list because I've had some time lately where I've just kind of been sitting in front of the television going like, what am I in the mood to watch? So, and while I'm working on stuff, because I'm always working on stuff, I'm always coming up with ideas or coming up with notes or writing ideas for shows or whatever. So there's always stuff that I'm working on and also answering emails and talking to friends and catching up with people. So maybe the Love is Blind Japan one is a good one to watch. So great suggestion. Sean Gardner says the Brazil one is good. That's awesome. And by the way, all of these are available now on the podcast feed. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast feed, the Outlaw Nation podcast feed, I'd appreciate it if you guys did that. I want to add more stuff. I may start recording shows just for the podcast feed. So maybe over the weekend, I do a show or two just for the podcast feed, or maybe an extra hour after this goes off the air. I just record myself talking about something for an hour. So just ideas I'm kicking around because I just want to keep doing stuff. And I find that I've got time, even though I'm super busy, I've got time to sit in the office and do stuff and what have you. So we'll see. I may move in my walking pad and may do occasional shows where I'm on the walking pad because I've got a desk that goes up and down. So we will see. John wants to know, hey man, have I missed what happened to the Ring Generals podcast? Yeah, it's just kind of like a Game Time, same thing. The numbers just weren't there. And after a while, you just realize that you're spending a lot of time for little return. And I'm at that stage where I need to, they got to hit certain numbers for me to be excited to keep doing it. And unfortunately, the Ring Generals didn't quite get there. Aaron and I, we still, and Chris, all the three of us still have our thread. And Aaron and I have our separate thread that we've always had talking about wrestling. Chris has got a good, Chris is dedicated to that when it's up in LA, the Before the Bell with Jay and his other co-hosts there. And more power to him. That's the one he wanted to focus on. And that's the one he could focus on because Aaron's in Orlando and I'm here in San Diego. So, everybody there is in LA. They can all meet up and do stuff in the studio. And eventually just the numbers weren't there, to be honest with you. And there's only so much effort you can put in where you just go, you know what? I don't see it, a result that makes sense. And the same thing with Game Time. So we'll see. And Spill the Tequila, I don't know how much longer that's going to go either, even though I love doing it with Winston. I know Winston's working on his own stuff, wants to build up his own stuff. And sadly, that could affect how much we do Spill the Tequila, which is consequently why I'm kind of opening the door to do more of these live shows, because I just kind of want to, try it out, be on my own for a little bit, see if people actually give a shit what I have to say or what I'm talking about, and will tune in, to hear me or to go through this stuff. So we'll see. We'll see. I love doing stuff with Winston. Maybe I'll bring him on, for a live show or whatever. But, he hasn't been shaking my tree to be like, hey, we need to do this. We need to do that. And in years past, he has. And so that tells me that he's much more focused on building up his channel, which he has every right to do. He's got his blurred breakdown and what have you. So, we're all just kind of walking our paths here in 2025 and trying to do what we need to do. So, all right. So I went on for like 20 minutes. Sorry, guys. You know me, I can talk. I can talk forever. So, yeah, Raycon says, I love Spill the. Yeah, so, we're going to figure it out. It's not done. I'm not saying it's done. Please don't take it that it's done. It's just that scheduling it is not always easy. And, Winston, I think Winston worries about overlapping with subjects that he's talked about on his channel. So you have that. So we're battling through that and figuring it out. And really, me, ultimately, I would love to find co-hosts of shows who are dedicated to the show only and want to make the show better and suggestions and all of that. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. People are working on their own things. Like Michael and Shannon are both working on their own things. And I'm always, blessed that they can do more than one show a week when we can. It's always fun. But, their focus is on writing. Their focus is on acting and getting their stuff out there and whatever. And same thing with Spill the Tea. Winston's doing his thing. Kevin's got his channel. Laura has a full-time job. So, you've got to schedule these things. So I'm just realizing that after 5 years of doing this channel, and it is 5 years going into February, if you can believe it, guys. It's kind of crazy to think about it. I was laid off from Collider I was laid off from Collider on the 2nd of this month, 5 years ago. But I didn't fully dedicate myself to the channel until the first week of February, which is next week. So next week, I think February 5th is when I did that live, a show, right after being like, oh, that was the first time. So next week will be the 5-year celebration of the channel, which is kind of crazy. So, and people keep bashing it, but it keeps growing. So yeah, it's not going at the, it's like getting 100,000, but it's growing. And the more I work at it, I keep trying to do more and more with it. So, it is what it is. But, I got multiple revenue streams. I'm very fortunate to be able to make a living doing this stuff. So, yeah, I love it to pieces. So I appreciate you all hanging out with me. I really do. I'm just some dude from the East Coast that loves to shoot his mouth off. And so I always appreciate you guys hanging out with me. 230 of you hanging out right now. Thank you so much. Yeah, we should do a celebration show, I think, Sean. And maybe do something next week. So we'll see. We'll see. Jen says you should have way more subscribers. I know, Jen. I know. A lot of people tell me this, but there's only so much I can do. So we'll see. We'll see how much I can do. Shorts, I'm sure, will be an issue, and I should do more of that. But there might be announcements coming about other things. So we'll see down the road when that happens. And those are legitimate, by the way. And so, but we'll see. I can't say anything right now. Said Acres of Movies says the one show you had with the younger co-host was good. You stopped that one. I didn't like when she said water wet to you. That was an error on it, and I could tell you didn't like when she did that. Was that the final straw for her? Oh, you were talking about Mornings with the Outlaw. Alex. Oh, no. Alex was always, that's why I like doing the show with Alex, because she was very opinionated. I just think in the end, Alex is not hooked into the entertainment industry quite at the level that I would have liked. But it was an experiment, right? Just like the John and Wendy show, just like a number of shows we've had here on the channel. It's about trying things out, seeing what works, putting the time in, the effort in. And in the end, if the numbers aren't there, the numbers aren't there. And Mornings with the Outlaw, eventually, just the numbers weren't really 100% there. Even when Alex came on, and I thought she did a good job for what it was, but in the end, it just wasn't 100% where it needed to be. And Alex was, again, busy doing a million other things herself. So we couldn't quite put it together in the way we wanted. And she lives in another town. So, these are the things that you kind of have to be aware of all these things now. Oh, she's a mom now? Oh, I didn't even know that. That's awesome. That's awesome. I didn't know she's a mom. Congratulations to Alex. I didn't know that. That's great. Let's see. All right. So anyway, let's get into things. Let's get into things. This is the show. This is what we're doing. This is the show. I feel like I should have a little theme song. But we have so much to get into today. And I hope you guys are ready to get into this stuff. Please keep the super chats and the Streamlabs coming. I will answer them intermittently as we go along here on the channel. And because it is just me talking, I will occasionally take breaks to get a sip of my iced tea, my Tajava, my black iced tea. I love drinking Tajava iced tea. I still have the occasional soda, the Diet Coke or Coke Zero, but it's nowhere near at the numbers that I did in the past. So the iced tea kind of saves me from that. So anyway, all right, let's get into it. Everybody strap in. Let's have some fun here. And let's get into the first topic that we want to talk about. And how can we not start with this one? And that is Anthony Mackie. And Anthony Mackie here doing promotion for his Captain America Brave New World. Got into a little bit of hot water in the comments he made here about Captain America. And so he was in Rome. This is he said he was asked a question, and I'm going to bring up the video. So I'm just going to read it, and then I'm going to bring up the video. He was in Rome, as I said, promoting Captain America: Brave New World. He said when he was asked a question by I think it was one of the Italian journalists, he said that Cap, quote, represents a lot of different things, but the term America is not one of them. Here's the full quote. For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term America should be one of those representations. It's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity, someone who is trustworthy and dependable. So you know what happened next. People lost their minds. The right wing was like, ooh, we got ourselves a black man saying negative things about the country. Ooh, I can't wait to comment on this. MAGA sharpen their knives. They love nothing more than a person of color or a black person saying anything negative or possibly saying anything negative about America. Now, to be fair to Anthony Mackie, he did post on his Instagram stories a clarification. And he said, let me be clear about this. I'm a proud American, and taking on the shield of a hero like Captain America is the honor of a lifetime. I have the utmost respect for those who serve and have served our country. Thank you, Anthony. Captain America has universal characteristics that people all over the world can relate to. Now, there's a lot of ways to dissect these comments, right? And again, let me see if I can bring it up here. Where is the video? Yeah, here it is on Twitter. So we're going to bring it up and we're going to listen to what Anthony has to say. So we can, because I think it's important to hear inflection and tone and meaning here. So, that's it. There.
For me, Captain America represents.
All right, so here's his answer. And he's chilling. It's Anthony. He's just chilling. So let's see. Oh, let me see. Let me get bigger here. Is that right? No, let me get bigger. There we go. So let's see what he has to say and how he presents this to the public. His answer.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations. Like it's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity. Someone who is trustworthy and dependable. It's kind of, this is kind of like an aspect of a dream coming true. When I was a kid, all of us as actors, I believe, want to get back to that day before someone told you no. when you look out your door and you see a 5-year-old kid with a stick and he's slaying dragons to save the princess in the tower, that kid really believes there are dragons out there. That stick is really a sword and he's really trying to save that princess. And then one day somebody told him, no, there are no dragons. That's not a sword. And that princess is not there. And all of his little dreams were dashed. So, you know, as an actor, I feel like our job is to get back to the day where we see that dragon and we slay that dragon to save that princess. And that's kind of what this movie was for me.
So I think, so right off the bat, right? Okay, so let's say this. If you're Kevin Feige, you're tearing your hair out right now, right? Because he did not, is this the better? He basically said like, and he made a point of it. So no one, I don't think anybody can dispute this. He made a point of it in saying, I don't think America should be one of the things it represents. Now, of course, you have to put this in context. And you're seeing a black man talking about this situation. Certainly, we know the history of America with black men and women, regardless of what people want to do nowadays in a race history, in a race actual things that have gone on in the history, the ugly decades and really centuries of racism that is and disenfranchisement that has happened in this country. So for me, I think what Anthony Mackie was saying, there's a lot of context to it. There's a lot of power to it. And by the way, if you study Captain America in the comics, Captain America has questioned America, has questioned representing America, has questioned wearing the shield. I mean, Nomad was kind of a reaction to that. We saw that in the movies with Chris Evans when he, because of the Civil War situation, the Sokovia Accords, pulls away, violates, becomes violates the law, becomes a fugitive on the run because he doesn't like who is running America. And currently, who is running America is an absolute madman. And certainly maybe Anthony had a little bit of that. And I think he knew he messed up, by the way. I think he knew he messed up. And I'm saying this by messed up. Let me clarify that because I think some people might get upset. I mean that if you're on a press junket tour for Captain America Brave New World, maybe this isn't the right time to say something like that. Maybe down the road, maybe when you put down the shield, maybe when you're looking back on a retrospective, you can make a comment about what it was like, right? But right now you're promoting a film. And the job in promoting a film is to get as many people as possible excited to see your movie and to be in the movie theater. So on one side of it, you could argue, oh man, Anthony really shouldn't have said that. He kind of shit the bed and whatever. And I saw some people go media training and I'm like, are you out of your mind? He's been in the business for decades. He doesn't need media training. He knows what he's doing. Anthony's going to say what Anthony says. If you've watched his interviews, you've watched him on junkets, he's very much his own person, whether right or wrong, whether smart or not. Anthony's going to say what he wants to say about a situation. And I mostly found him very fun to watch in interviews. And the fact that someone that I absolutely hated working for showed Anthony Mackie showed him his ass figuratively by embarrassing him makes me like Anthony all the more. And so to me, I think he said the wrong thing here. Right? It's not that he didn't have a right to say it. It's not that he might have reasons for saying it. And I think if you pull it out, you can understand why someone would say it. But in the end, it's not what you want to say because the title of the film is Captain America. You are Captain America. So you are representing America. Now, what you have to understand is there's a way to look at America and there's a way to look at who's in charge of America, right? America has supposedly always stood for equality and, you know, picking yourself up. The American dream, anyone can come here and be whatever they want to be. It's not always true. It doesn't always happen. Go watch The Brutalist. That'll absolutely inform you of what it's like to come over here and try to create a life and the horrors you can experience and what have you. And certainly, you know that with Black men and women in this country and the history of disenfranchisement, as I mentioned earlier. So, you know, you get it, right? But you also know this is a junket. This is not the place to do that. And I think if he was on what used to be Charlie Rose's show or one of these more introspective conversational shows where he can break it down and talk about the nuance after the movies come out and made money, then I think that's the time that you have more of a how can I say, more of a nuanced perspective on being Captain America and what it means to be a black man representing Captain America. But again, I want to stress this, and I think Bo DeMeo went in on this too, and I'm going to bring up one of the things he tweeted. But it's very clear that, he's coming from a certain place about it. And so you can say Anthony Mackie had a right to say what he said. And like, you know what? I kind of maybe support what he said. I can understand, or at least I can understand why he said what he said. But on the other side, you can also say, but at a junket, that is really risking the backlash. And the last thing Marvel needs, especially for a film like this, with the multiple reshoots, with people already sharpening their knives and their forks, whether from a racist place or from you're not Steve Rogers, not even having to do with color, but you're not Steve Rogers and they loved Chris Evans, or from a place of like, oh, I can't wait to make content out of this, or even legitimate criticism, which is like, oh, I don't know, all these reshoots, I'm just not sure this is the one for me. The last thing you want to do is give people a reason to not go see the movie. That's legitimately not what you're supposed to do. So I give Anthony a little bit of grace here. He did, come on his Instagram story and clarify. He was very, I thought he was very good words there. He didn't apologize, by the way. Like, make it clear, he did not apologize. He just clarified his comments and said how much he respects people who served our country. I served our country for 8 years in the Army, so I can understand the place he was coming from, and I understand what he was trying to say. Of course, internet culture is not about nuance. It's about let's grab the headline and run with it. And you see the comments on this video, it was like, well, America's in the name, you got to represent it, and all that nonsense. And so it's like, why use your brain when you can use your anger, I guess is what you see a lot of the time on the internet. But this is what Chris Evans had to say in 2011, right? What does it mean? This is comic book. What does it mean to you to basically be draped in the American flag for this film? It's a very leading question, I think, looking for a combustible answer. And Evans says, well, to me, I'm not trying to get too lost in the American side of it. This isn't a flag waving movie. It is red, white, and blue, but it just so happens that the character was created in America during wartime when there was a common enemy, even though it is Captain America. I've said before in interviews, it feels more like he should just be called Captain Good. He was created at a time when there was this undeniable evil, and this guy was kind of created to fight that evil. I think that everyone could agree that Nazis were bad, and Cap just so happens to wear the red, white, and blue. So he is saying, in essence, what Anthony said. In essence, it is exactly the same thing, right? He's saying it doesn't necessarily represent America. Captain America was created at a time when we needed someone like this to rally the country against a common enemy in the Nazis. However, which is who the Captain America is playing in the MCU, all these years later, after he gets thought out, it's a much more complex world. America is now the superpower. America is the one destabilizing governments. America is the one supporting certain leaders and running black ops and psyops and all this stuff to affect and destabilize countries so that America stays the number one country in the world. And look, I served 8 years in the Army and military intelligence. I have some idea of what I'm talking about. I had top secret clearance for a majority of my time there. So I understand what Chris and Anthony are saying. Chris is saying it in an interview. And this is back in 2011. And this is before everyone had Twitter and everyone had social media and everyone went crazy. If Chris says this now, this becomes massive. And people are like tweeting about it, and they're calling him a Hollywood lefty, a Hollywood liberal. Fox News, Jesse Waters is jacking himself off right now at the excitement and joy of Chris Evans saying something like this, because he can get hours and hours of traction out of it that he can use for his helmet-headed commentary. But that's not the case here, right? And what you've got is two different people from two different perspectives, but both saying essentially the same thing, that Captain America is supposed to represent the best in people, irregardless of what country they're in, irregardless of where they're from, irregardless of where they were raised and born or where they found themselves in. So I think there's something to be said about that is true. But again, a junket is not the place to do that, because you're trying to sell a movie with a lot of trouble behind it, a lot of negative buzz behind it. And it's just now getting above water because people have been excited about the look of the Red Hulk and Harrison Ford, and people have been excited about these trailers. The last thing you want to do is give people reasons not to go to the movie theater. So, I think there's something to be said about that. And I want to, who was I looking at? I was reading someone's breakdown. I want to give them some love because I thought their breakdown was really good. I don't know where I put it. Maybe, who is it? Yeah, here it is. It is Cheryl Eddy on Gizmodo. I thought she did a great breakdown. And look, as Variety, Forbes, and other sources noted, after his onstage answer went viral, Mackie took to his own social media. Right. So here's it. But his original statement wasn't wrong either, is what she says. After all, you can still be a proud American and realize that America isn't always synonymous with honor, dignity, and integrity. As Forbes pointed out, the previous Captain America, Chris Evans, as well as the Captain American comics themselves, have made not dissimilar observations in the past. And the Captain America comics have had a long history of having the character wrestle with their symbolism and the inherent belief in America's ideals, even as they rankle at the state itself. After all, Steve Rogers famously quit being Captain America under a thinly veiled allusion to the Nixon administration. It's an uncomfortable feeling, but it's a legitimate one, especially in 2025. And even if the person feeling that way happens to be the star of a big budget blockbuster centered around a patriotic superhero. So that's, to me, where here's a situation where I actually don't think Anthony Mackie should have shut up. I think Anthony Mackie should have been aware of how he was answering that question a little bit earlier in his answer, because you can tell he completely made a beeline to some other thing about actors and dragons and being a kid and wanting to achieve these things, and tried to swing it back to the movie by the end, which I appreciated the effort. But I think he knew in that moment that he was speaking his truth a little bit too out loud and had to kind of adjust halfway through, which is unfortunate, because I absolutely understand where he's coming from. But this is also the same country, the same people going after him, by the way, are the same people who have been moaning for 8 years about free speech. I can't say what I want to say. I can't say that racist thing. I got to do pronouns. I can't say shit about women. And where's my freedom of speech? Give me my freedom of speech. Elon's taken over Twitter. Now I have my freedom of speech. Well, here's a man saying his freedom of speech. Shut him up. And so it just becomes so ridiculously stupid after a while. So, but yes, I think Anthony probably feels super terrible because, look, people have been waiting for him to fail on this. Unfortunately, as a black man playing Captain America, people have been trying to make sure he fails and putting that energy out there. And it doesn't serve anyone for Anthony to do it to himself. So it's a shame. It's a shame that he did that. Yes, David Rose said selective outrage. I know it is the calling card of MAGA, the selective outrage. Yeah, Fred says he says it best. You have freedom of speech, not freedom of consequence. I agree. And I've said that for 8 years. There's never been cancel culture. There's been consequences culture, never cancel culture. You're not free of consequences. You're free to say what you like. It's a free world. You can say what you like, but you can't control the response from people. You can't control how people are going to react to the things you say. Lord knows I've had that experience on Twitter and on shows occasionally, but that's the game, and I always say, if you're going to say it, you got to have the guts to stand by it or to admit that you misspoke or you said it wrongly. And as Anthony did, he went back and clarified. And I think there's points and credit to be given to a man who went back and clarified what he had to say. He didn't apologize. He just clarified. He added more nuance to what he was trying to say. And look, you're answering a lot of questions. Sometimes you're going to say the wrong thing. It happens. And it's unfortunate in the end, but yeah, this is the situation with what he's saying. So, Acres of Movies says, Rocha, have you considered running for local office? No. If I run for anything, it'll be senator or representative. I don't want to be small. And I'm at that age now where I can't go through the system for 20 or 30 years. I'll be one of those old guys like Bernie or whatever by the time I get to where I want to get to. So we'll see. What did Stephanie say? Karen says she agrees with Stephanie. What did Stephanie say, Karen? I didn't see what Stephanie says. The whiners need a diaper change. Is that what she said? Oh, I can't. I don't know what Stephanie said. So maybe she'll say, repeat it. But yeah, this is the situation here. Bernie's awesome. Yes, I know Bernie's awesome. Let me tell you something. He should not have said that. Anthony should have answered the question a bit more with a bit more perspective, a bit more circumspect. He should not have said that. I love Bernie. Bernie's my favorite as a person. I love Bernie. But yeah, this is the situation he finds himself in. And so it's unfortunate all around. And I know that Kevin Feige tore his hair out. There's no way Kevin Feige didn't tear his hair out. We have worked so hard to get this movie right. We've done so many reshoots. We've added characters. We've removed stuff. I'm already dealing with the backlash to one of the characters because of what's going on in the Middle East. And now you want to toss this log onto the fire and bring the fire back up again after I was maybe putting it out overall on this project. So we'll see. And we're only days away. I got my invite for it today for Captain America Brave New World, the screening. I think it is, when am I going? February 11th. So I'm going in like 13 days to see it. Probably in LA, it'll be screening sooner. I don't know. But yeah, I can't wait. I'm so looking forward to it. So looking forward to it. He doesn't have, yeah, my one of the geek buddies, one of our friends said, like, he probably tore out his assistant's hair because he has no hair to tear out himself anymore. So yeah, that's very possible. But anyway, that's the situation there. And just to give you a little perspective, Vogel, one of the geek buddies, had a point of view on this. I'm not going to read everything he said, but you know, I 100% agree with him, but his point of view, which is an interesting one to consider. He said Marvel was actively trying to separate Captain America from America so it would play internationally. So Evans was towing the Marvel line, addressing Evans's comments at the time. He said in 2011, Obama was president and we weren't as split down the middle as the country as we are now. It was starting to, but it wasn't full-blown MAGA yet. What Evans says is still more nuanced than I don't represent America. I don't know if I agree with that. And yes, for sure, the white-black thing plays a part. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so... and he agrees that if Chris Evans had said this nowadays, Fox News would have gone insane. So yeah, so there it is. So that's the comments there from Anthony Mackie. And again, I think you have a right to say what you want to say, but unfortunately, you got to understand the situation, which you're saying it, and when you're saying it, and how you're saying it, and if it's the right thing to say at that time. And I don't think it was in the end. I'm not judging his perspective. I can understand as a black man, certainly to a degree as a person of color, like what it's like in this country and how the system sometimes is geared to keep you in a certain place and not let you rise above. So I can understand this idea of just representing America. There's more in the world to represent. And as Chris Evans said, it's Captain Good is really what he is. But because they have a trademark and it's the character's name, it has to go that route. And I think people do feel a sense of like you want Captain America to represent the best of our ideals, even though we may have betrayed them numerous times through numerous administrations. Depending on your perspective, you still want Captain America to represent the best of what America, the dream of America, what America was supposed to be, a place of equality, a place of acceptance, a place where anybody can find a road to success. And so, and that people care. And look, there are a lot of good people out there. I know when you go on social media, it can be really, you can, and I've been guilty of this. You can really be like, oh my God, the world's falling apart. Everybody's fighting each other. It's over. We're heading towards a civil war, which, I mean, I kind of predicted in 2015 when Trump was elected, but whatever, 2016 rather. But like the situation, but look what happened today. They push back on that freeze. We still have power. The world still has power. And I do think in this country, and certainly interactions I've had, people are good. There are good people out there. There really are. And, you know, the crazier ones, they're on social media and they're doing stupid things like trying to do that Elon Musk salute and getting themselves fired. Those are morons. Those are morons. And those are the minority of people that are out there. Most people are open to have a conversation with you. Most people are, you know, don't want to cut you off, want to open the door for you or hold the door for you or help you with your bags or, what have you. There's a lot. I'm very fortunate that we moved into the area that we moved into here in just outside of San Diego. It's a very chill place. Everyone is very neighborly and friendly, smiles, waves, all this kind of stuff. And so it's nice to have it here. And sometimes I have to tone down my little LA or my passionate LA guy that I conditioned myself to be so I can function in this city, because the city is not like LA. It's more laid back, it's more chill. People wear masks. No one gives them shit. People don't wear masks. No one gives them shit. It's great. There's a Trader Joe's next to a Sprouts. There's something for everybody. And I kind of love that, to be honest with you, being here. So let's see this. Let's see if I've got Anthony. Oh, so Simon Section says, Part 1, does Hollywood need to shut up? I don't know, but I do, regarding me emotionally mishearing Mr. Rocha on the replacing, not recasting of the real deal macaroni. Ain't nothing phony about Rocha, that's for sure. Even though people might accuse me of being phony, I am not phony. I am 100% myself. I think that's why people make videos that they're frustrated that they want to shove me into some certain characterization of me. And it's not the truth. But they needed to fit some certain narrative to promote themselves. So whatever. He says, when you said replace, for some reason, Omar Epps was playing baseball where Wesley Snipes was supposed to. And since I noticed their names at the time I saw the sequel, it felt weird. Apologies. Simon, I wish I understood what you were trying to say. I don't know what you mean by Omar Epps playing baseball and where Wesley Snipes was supposed to. Yeah, weird. Sorry, man. I don't know what that means. He also says, thank you for your service. Thank you, buddy. Correct me if I'm wrong. You worked in Army intelligence. That I did. Or as my rare Air Force relatives would call you, an oxymoron. You are not alone, my geek brother. I feel bitter and sweet. Okay, for some reason, I can't find a platypus emoji symbol. I hope you get the symbology, and I hope to see your reaction to Magazine Dreams. Yeah, that trailer for Magazine Dreams dropped just before I started doing this live show, so I haven't seen it. Maybe I'll watch it during the live show and have a impromptu reaction to it and talk about it. So we'll see. But we got a lot to get to, so I don't know if I will. So thank you, Simon Section, for those super chats. Keep them coming. We got a few more here, but I'm gonna get to them in just a second. Send your Streamlabs and super chats as we go along. So, all right, 340 of you hanging out right now. Thank you so much for watching me live here on a Wednesday afternoon. I appreciate it. We might go a little long, just letting you know. So if you want to kick back, open up a beer or a drink or pour some wine out. Oh, I'm getting back into wine because we've been doing Sideways on the Cinephiles, which really, if you guys don't know my podcast, The Cinephiles, I can't recommend it enough. Me and my partner, Steve Morris, he's a director in LA. We've been doing it, and writer-director in LA. We've been doing it for 9 years, breaking down classic films. We go scene by scene through films. And sometimes it takes us 3 parts, and they're each about 1.5 to 2 hours, where we are breaking down scene by scene the movies and step by step everything that happens. So you get a really good, nuanced, thorough exploration of a good to great film. And sometimes we have our guilty pleasures, like we did Police Story, the Jackie Chan film. Armageddon. I convinced him to do Armageddon. So yeah, but majority of the films we do are these kind of classics and great films. And we have a 10-year rule where we don't do a film unless it's been 10 years since the film came out. And we are currently, right now, we just finished up Sideways today, but we already started talking about Mad Max Fury Road, and that's our next one. And we're doing that with the producer of WTF with Mark Maron, Brendan McDonald, who was on our show last year and broke down a film with us. And now he's breaking down Mad Max Fury Road. And we did one part. We only got 15 minutes into the movie in an hour and 45-minute discussion because we spent a lot of time talking about how we came to the Mad Max franchise, why we like the Mad Max franchise, what appeals to us, and talking about how the film was made before we ever started, how the casting went about, the story, all of that. So it's a very thorough podcast to the great films. And you'll find me a completely different person on that podcast than you would on the other podcasts that I do, much more laid back, much more conversational, much more explorative and research-based type of show. So if you haven't tried it out, I highly recommend it. And there is 9 years of movies for you all to choose from. I would recommend anything from the last 5 years, because we really found our footing a few years ago in how we do the show. So I would recommend anything from the last 5 years for you all to dive into if you want to give it a chance and give it a shot on that end. So just letting you know. Yes, before Mel Gibson lost his mind. Yes. All right. So let's see here. Let's move on to this other story. We're not done yet with the drama and controversy of people talking out in the Marvel universe. Let's get into this one here, man. All right. So the person you see on the left in the douchey hat is Hudson Thames. I think that's how you say his name. I don't know. He is the voice of Spider-Man in the new Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man animated series that dropped today. The first 2 episodes are out today. And he was interviewed by Adam Blevins, who's getting a lot of love for this interview. And Adam, if by any chance you're watching this was a fantastic article that you wrote here. But I guess Collider's Mike Thomas sat down with them. So shout out to Mike Thomas for the interview, but for the article that I'm getting this off of, shout out to Adam Blevins, who broke this thing down really well. So he was talking with Madison Thames, who has been, Hudson Thames. I said Madison. Sorry about that. Hudson Thames, who has done the voice of Peter Parker in What If? And he was featured in one episode of CBS's Ghosts. That's another great show on Paramount Plus. A lot of people love. And so Mike Thomas, who is the interviewer here for Collider, sat down with Hudson Thames to talk about voicing the character of Spider-Man. And this is what he said. He said, I thought it was awesome. I mean, my biggest fear was that it was going to be annoying and woke, and it wasn't. And I was like, yes, this is great. It's so well written, like it feels real. I'm the oldest of 5 boys, so I feel like I kind of know what's happening in their lives and in high school. And it felt like it was doing that justice. Now, Adam goes on to say, and I think this is really important to note, Adam goes on to say, like, woke is a term which more often than not used as a dog whistle for racism and sexism in entertainment fan bases. And he's 100% right on that. And this interview also comes at the same time that Collider's Mike Thomas spoke with showrunner Jeff Trammell, who spoke about the new version of New York City to life that is being brought to life here. One that is flush with representation that accurately portrays the many different cultures in one of the biggest cities on earth. Coleman Domingo has already experienced backlash for his casting as Norman Osborn, a character who is not inherently white in the comics. So this is where you find a bit of disconnect, in my opinion, is like, why are you saying that, it's woke? I was afraid it was going to be woke and annoying. And shall I bring up annoying? I mean, like a dude wearing a scarf there with a open shirt and some douchey hat there. He's the one that's going to tell you what he's worried about being annoying, for God's sake. So it just, to me, was such the wrong thing to say. And people want to go after, it's no consequence that the same people who went after Anthony Mackie for saying something out of turn shut the fuck up and didn't go after Hudson Thames for saying what he said here, because he aligns with their ideas of Hollywood and its woke nonsense that they claim is going on here. And I think what he was trying to say, if I could possibly venture a analysis here on this, is that he's a young kid. He's going to say things, that he was trying to say that it probably wasn't a show that did representation just for representation's sake, right? There's a much more nuanced way that Hudson could have said what he said, but he didn't. He chose to say it in a way that was purposefully combative, in my opinion, purposely trying to get attention for the show. Maybe he went into business for himself, as they say in pro wrestling, where someone goes off script to make themselves look better. But I think it's beyond ignorant to say a show isn't woke, because, by the way, the right doesn't own that word. People seem to forget. It was Black culture and people of color who coined the term originally woke, because it was to wake people up to the systemic racism that is inherent in our society, and that the systemic and the institutions that were set up by white people centuries ago to keep people of color and black people in a certain position, in a certain place, Asians, what have you, any immigrants or any people of color, any communities of color, to keep them in a certain box so that they can be controlled and white people can feel like, oh, the crumbs I give you off my table, you should be thankful for in our society and not demand more. How dare you ask for a piece of the pie? I'm just going to give you crumbs from the crust. And so that's the difference. So when you walk in with this, and I don't know this gentleman's heritage, I don't know where he's from. I know that his dad, I think if I've looked this up correctly, his dad plays the young version of Johnny Dangerously in the movie Johnny Dangerously, the kid version of Michael Keaton. That is this kid's dad. And so I don't know if the kid is white. I don't know what he is. But I think saying this stuff is just moronic, like absolutely moronic. You know, there's a better way to say that isn't inflammatory, that isn't going to turn people off who were probably very excited to see a much more diverse New York City being represented in another animated Spider-Man film, because there's not really a lot of time to show diversity in Spider-Verse because you've already got so many characters that you're trying to cater to on the Sony side of things. So here's a Disney Marvel show that is out here for people to watch, that is gonna show New York with a bit more diversity and be the street level Spider-Man that a lot of people wanted to see in live action. Also, just like Captain America 4, a lot of people have been sharpening their knives and forks to carve up this show from the beginning. People have had issue with the animation. People have had an issue with the approach. People have had an issue. And I also find it hilarious that Hudson says it wasn't woke and annoying when you've got a race swapped Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn, and characters that look like, you know, they might have gender fluid identities and a much more diverse approach to New York City. So that's what I mean. And he's a kid who maybe he's a right winger. Someone put up a great meme here of Spider-Man hanging off the Capitol there with the J6ers who were storming the Capitol and violated the Capitol and should all still be in jail for what they did. But you see that this is a very funny meme that people put up of his Spider-Man being there storming the Capitol. But like, this is the thing. And I don't know if the kid's a right winger, fine. His point of view is out there. But I also think it's pretty shitty that you would say something like this with a show that has, I believe, a black showrunner, that has diversity, that is race swapping characters. That is literally the definition of doing something that is woke, because it's about showing that you can be race swapping characters and it's okay. That if you can make it fit within the world, you should be open to it. So I think what he said was utterly stupid, and there should have been more nuance to what he said. And if anyone needs media training, it's probably him. So, and a lot of people love the show. I'm going to be watching it later today. A lot of people love the show. So maybe this will die down. Maybe this will be nothing. But I know from two sources who I texted about this article last night, they told me that Disney was pissed. Disney was super pissed. It's not because Disney has, what a lot of these people who make money off creating these fantasy narratives about Disney, a woke point of view. It's not that. It's more a matter of like, the last thing they want is to have political dark clouds over a project that was already pushing a boulder uphill, just like Captain America 4. And so Disney was super pissed that he said this stuff. And I imagine they had a conversation with him after that interview to make sure he doesn't say this kind of stuff again, or maybe, and I don't know if he offered a clarification like Anthony Mackie did. I don't know if maybe you guys can hit me to a clarification, but I haven't seen it. But most of the people I have seen who've reviewed the shows said they enjoyed the show. So I haven't seen it yet. I will watch it. What is Yash? What is Is Yash in here? People love revisionist. Oh, I agree. Here he goes. Nah, no one cared. The show is trash. 2002 MTV Spider-Man show, a diversity similar art style was still more interesting looking. Okay, yeah. That's his point of view. Yes, strong. Yash, I think you gotta tone it back a little bit, buddy. You can say some too many offensive things, and I'll just block you. I got no problem with that. So, and then erase all your comments. And I hate for that to happen to you. So please don't say that. Please don't say things too far off the line. I will absolutely block you. I got no problem with that. Yeah. So this is the situation here, and I think it's unfortunate for his comments here and what have you. So, but what Jeff Trammell said, he took part. So Jeff Trammell, who is the writer and showrunner of the show here, addressed Hudson Thames' comments. But first, he had a comment about Coleman Domingo voicing Norman Osborn, and he said, "I thought it was awesome. I mean, my biggest fear was." So he thought it was awesome, right? And so here is Trammell's comments towards Hudson Thames comes. He was on a Reddit AMA. He said, I love Hudson and didn't focus too much on what he said. I believe he simply misspoke. And I know that's been weighing on him. I think we made a fantastic show that is going to appeal to a wide audience and hopefully captures what I love about Spider-Man, that he's a guy who cares deeply about the people around him and always tries to do the right thing, right? So once again, this idea of we want to focus on the hero doing the right thing. We want to focus on people and where they're going with this. And of course, you have the children who come into the chat. What was offensive? Is this North Korea? You know, the children and their overreactive Chicken Little stuff. No, pal. He said something that was stupid, and we're calling it out. At no point did I say this was offensive. So you should probably watch and listen to the show before you comment like a 10-year-old who has no concept of the English language and understanding. And so, this is where we're getting at here. You know, we're commenting on it. And so in this situation, I do think he should have shut up and not said that. And so in the future, though, I'm sure he will have a better point of view, a better approach on these things, and have a more nuanced take on these things, and maybe backtrack. And I hope Trammell is correct that Hudson is, that this is weighing on him, and he's rethinking about how to answer questions like this in the future, because I think he should. I think he should rethink it. I'm not saying you shouldn't say what he thinks, but just like with Anthony Mackie, you know, you got to be aware of what your job is as an actor. And your job is to get people interested in your show and not turning off your show. And yes, I also believe, I don't believe the old adage, rather, that any publicity is good publicity, because bad publicity we've seen already over the last few years, especially when it comes to these kinds of topics of what's woke and what's anti-woke. Bad publicity can sink a show. Ask the Acolyte, can sink a movie. And so the last thing you want is people putting that kind of thing on top of your show and doing it yourself. So, so we will see what how it plays itself out in the future. But I do think that Hudson will probably have some Emilia training in the future here. So here, let me bring something up here. I might have to, let me see. What's the next thing we should move to? Should we move to this Jacques Audiard story? Yeah, let's move to this one and talk about it. Actually, let's hit some Streamlabs or some Super Chats as a break in between these stories. Thank you to everybody sending stuff in. I really appreciate it very much. Darren Wright, what's up, Darren? My brother from the UK. He says, cheers to the cinephiles, the Geek Buddies, the top 10, and everything in this community that's kept me going this last decade or so. Thank you, John. You inspire me. Oh, thank you, Darren. I appreciate that very much. Always great to see you, brother. Always great to see you on the Patreon. And for those you don't know, I have a Patreon, patreon.com John Rocha. We do hangouts every week on Sundays, talking about things that are going on in their lives, in the world of sports, entertainment, pro wrestling. We talk about it all there on the Patreon. And there's more stuff coming that I'm going to be doing for the Patreon here as I do more stuff and kind of I've rearranged the office so it's a much more open office. So I feel much more inspired. There's going to be new artwork that's going to go up in here that's going to get the creative juices flowing as well. So there'll be more to do here in the office as we go along. So thank you, Darren, man. You're the best. I appreciate it. Jason Ashcroft says, hey, Rocha, as a moderate Republican from Utah, I just want to say I appreciate your content and all you do. If you ever need a free place to stay for Sundance, let me know. Well, thank you, Jason. Maybe I will look you up. I'm obviously I'm not going to Sundance this year, right? Because it's going on right now, but maybe next year. I've never been to a film festival like that. I worry about all the extra work you have to do, standing in the cold, waiting for hours online. I don't know if a movie is worth it to me for that kind of stuff, especially as I get older. But my friend Emma Sasic, I think, is at her first Sundance, and I've been following her tweets about it. My friend Patrick Beatty is there. Scott Menzel, other people I know are up there having a good time. So shout out to them. So maybe in the future I will look you up, Jason. I will take you up on that offer if I ever decide to go. I'm also not going to CinemaCon this year because we're going to a wedding in Europe, and I have to save my money. And I do want to go see my mom in the spring. So I kind of have to make sure where I can spend my money. And CinemaCon, it was like $3,000 with the hotel room and food, because that's not a place you can easily find. Like, you have to walk and you have to spend a lot of time, and the prices are very high, especially during a convention. So there's no plans for me to go at this point to CinemaCon, even though they probably will be showing Fantastic Four or Superman there, which I'm super bummed about, but we'll see. But thank you, Jason. Stephanie says, what past movie would have gotten its star canceled today in a press junket? My guess is All the President's Men, Malcolm X, or Do the Right Thing. Well, Stephanie, maybe not All the President's Men, because by the time that film came out, the country had turned on Nixon. So it wouldn't have been a big deal to say this stuff while Nixon had resigned the office of the presidency and had flown off in disgrace. Remember when presidents had honor and ethics, and when they were caught, admitted their crime and resigned the office in order to keep the honor of the office? I remember those days. Malcolm X or Do the Right Thing. Well, there was a lot of pushback to Malcolm X when it came out. It was only, 3 years after Do the Right Thing when Malcolm X came out. And certainly a lot of people, or maybe it was 5, I think it's 92, or maybe it's 94. But a lot of people were already sharpening their knives during that time, I remember. But Denzel is one of those guys that no one ever messed with. Like, Denzel was unmessable with, because he always radiated that kind of strength and intelligence and unfuckability, I guess is the term I would use, with how he did things. And so no one ever messed with him. And he was such a great, and this was like Denzel coming into his prime as an actor. So people were very excited to see what Malcolm X was about. And certainly I myself bought a companion CD that had all of Malcolm X's speeches when that film came out. And I remember listening, and I read the biography, autobiography. It's amazing. If you do the research on Malcolm X, you will come out really revering him and the journey he went on, and how he changed his point of view, where like he hated all white people, but by the end, before he was sadly assassinated, and he was assassinated, he was murdered. He was in a place now where he wanted to create equality amongst the races and wanted to work with white people to find a solution to what was ailing the country in terms of racism, and listen, don't ever forget this. There are always people who are invested in keeping us separated. And the same people who cry about people bringing up race all the time are the same people who bring up race all the time in order to keep us separated. And people are invested in it, unfortunately. So, yeah, I don't think of it, but Do the Right Thing, people forget. Like, I grew up when I was a teenager when Do the Right Thing came out. I remember people were very afraid that it was going to cause race riots in the street. This is not a joke. This is not Hollywood fabricating this shit. No matter what people tell you, I lived through it. I was there. They were stationing extra security guards in these theaters. Police were in these theaters because they thought the movie was going to inflame racial tensions and cause race riots in the street. None of that happened, but that's what they thought. And look, Spike spoke his mind. And again, but Stephanie, your examples here are examples where the movies would lend themselves to political criticism and social commentary, right? Captain America: Brave New World doesn't necessarily, we don't know the story behind that, so we don't know what it leads to. We knew what Do the Right Thing was. We knew what Malcolm X was. We knew what All the President's Men were. So it's a different situation with that. So either one of the stars of these films speaking out about the topics they're covering and having a point of view, political or otherwise, I don't think would have gotten them canceled in this situation because of the context of the movies. But certainly with Captain America, with Spider-Man, these are not necessarily inherently political things. So Jason Ashcroft says, crossing my fingers that a Ray movie still happens and Pattinson's Batman stays separate from the DCU. Should I prepare for the worst? Yes, I think you should, in my personal opinion. I don't think that Ray movie is happening. They just signed. I mean, this guy, no offense to this guy. Again, I like this guy. I liked Adjustment Bureau. That's quietly one of my favorite Matt Damon movies, along with Hereafter, which no one talks about, which was Clint Eastwood's, to me, jazz movie about trauma. And I love that movie. Damon does a wonderful job in that film. And I thought Damon did an excellent job in that other film as well. And so I think you should prepare yourself for the worst. I don't think that Ray movie is happening. Adjustment Bureau, right, is the movie that I was referencing that I think is good. But I don't think that Ray movie is happening. I just don't. That writer does not go. It's just not an exciting writer to sign on to your project. I know Daisy posted it on her Instagram stories, but I just don't know if that movie is going to happen. I really feel like I'm moving towards in that place where Charmin Obaid-Chinoy is not going to direct that film. I think they think there's more potential in the Sean Levy film, and so there's more money to be made there. But I don't think Ray's going to appear in that film either. So there's a very strong possibility that later this year or next year, they release the news that Daisy is not going to come back. They're not going to explore this. And they're going to revamp things. And I know some people agreed with me. I was really surprised by last week. And some people didn't agree with me, but I do think Trump winning the election has kind of recalibrated things for a lot of these studios, for a lot of they're looking at who is going to come see our shows and our movies. And I think they're recalibrating their approaches to things. So don't be surprised if over the next 4 years, we see less people of color as leads. We see less women as leads, less women of color as leads in these films or part of the ensemble cast. Don't be surprised if that happens, because I think that's a possibility, a very strong possibility. And that may be with the race situation, and maybe John Boyega not coming back either. We will see. As far as Pattinson Batman, that's more about convenience. I mean, I don't want it to happen, and I'm still kind of 50-50 on it. I still, even though Jeff, it seems a little more further in the camp that it's going to happen, I'm about 50-50 on it. I can totally see it happening, but I hope that it doesn't. We will see, Jason. Simon Section one more says, I feel like I have to Anthony Mackie on my oxymoron statement on our finest. I'm a reject, honorably discharged from the Wild Blue Yonder, but I've heard friendly branch banner, no shots fired here. Again, Simon, you are speaking a completely different language. I have no idea what these, I mean, like I'm picking out little things from your comments, but I don't know overall what you're trying to say. I think you're saying, I feel like I have to add Anthony Mackie onto my oxymoron statement on our finest. I'm an honorably discharged veteran from the Wabu Yonder, which is an Air Force reference, I think. But I've heard, quote, friendly branch banter, no shots fired here. So maybe he's saying he's heard banter amongst the military back and forth. Certainly a lot of people call Marines jarheads, from those of us who are in the service. Playfully, by the way, playfully. I don't want to get any Marines mad at me. Semper Fi, y'all. But yeah, so, and I'm sure Marines have comment, like he just said, oxymoron for people in the Army. And we all have our comments about Air Force people who are softer than marshmallows. Wiley Todd said, sent you a message. Rocha would love to help. Let's talk. Certainly, Wiley. Hello. Thanks, Wiley, for reaching out. I appreciate it, brother. Let's Let's figure it out down the road. All right, let me blow my nose real quick and we'll move on to our next thing. Sorry, guys. I got a lot going on here with everything that's going on in our world. Oh, I've got some Streamlabs that have come through as well. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies who are sending those in. I appreciate it very much. Let's see here. What's our next story? Yeah, let's get into this story here. Where is it? Where's Jacques? Get up here, Jacques. It's your turn, Frenchie. It's your turn. There he is. Jacques Audiard. Jacques Audiard, the director of Emilia, Pérez. He is a French filmmaker who is already disliked by Mexico. Well, of course, you don't want to say all of Mexico, but for brevity's sake, Mexico, for directing Emilia, Pérez. But he has now sparked a new controversy with his latest remarks. Remember, the title of the show is Should Hollywood Shut Up? In a recent interview with Conbini, Audiard didn't choose his words wisely when describing his thoughts about Spanish-speaking countries. And I'm going to play this again. I'm going to read it, but then I'm going to play it as well, like I did with Mackie. He said, quote, Spanish is a language of modest countries, of developing countries, of the poor and migrants. This is what he said about Spanish. Yes, I'm not lying to you. This is exactly what he said. So let's bring up his the video of his words here. Where is it? Yeah, no, I have it here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. Let's take a look at our friend here, Jacques Audiard, in all his inherent wisdom, saying these comments in response to an interviewer's question.
Que l'espagnol est une langue de pays émergent, c'est une langue c'est une langue de pays modeste, de pauvres, de migrants, voilà. Je dois aussi que
I do love the French language. I'm not going to deny that. I love French movies as well. So here's the translation. Jacques Audiard, if there are things that seem scandalous to you about Emilia Pérez, I apologize. That's very big of him. I mean that I am not trying to give answers. And then said, Spanish is a language of modest countries, of developing countries, of the poor and migrants. Now, he might have been trying to say that from a place of respect, from a place of, trying to say that he loves the Spanish language and he wasn't trying to offend Mexico or offend Spanish language speaking people. Maybe he was trying to say that I appreciate the struggle that Spanish speaking people have in their countries and what they endure. But what came out was supremely offensive in what he is saying, because he's basically saying that nobody speaks Spanish in the higher echelon of countries. Never mind that Spain, which is the mother colonizer country, speaks Spanish, is a first world country. Never mind that Argentina, Brazil, Brazil's Portuguese, but Argentina, there's a lot of countries that see themselves as first world countries. And this idea that it is the language of the poor and the migrants is such a horrific way to describe the Spanish language. And I'm fluent in Spanish. My parents are Bolivian immigrants who came to America. I was first born, so they taught me Spanish as we were both learning the English language. And so when you say things like this, you come off as an utterly out of touch, elitist moron. Just utter moron. And you guys know, I'm not out here trying to get a job at Variety or THR. I'm not out here trying to get, trying to kiss the ass of the entertainment industry or swing from its pole. That ain't my thing. So people are like, oh, why do you say these things? You're never going to get an interview with him. Man, I'm here to talk about the truth of what's happening here. And call out these stupid comments from people who are kind of out of touch. And Jacques already, again, here's another situation with this film. And I know won all these things at Golden Globes, but the backlash on this film has been massive. And so here we go again with Jacques Audiard, who is pushing a boulder up a hill like Anthony Mackie was, like Hudson Thames is. He is adding more fuel to the hate fire that people have for this movie now by making a comment like this. Why would you say this? Why in God's name would you say something so inherently stupid, especially someone from France? And the stereotypes people have of French people. And I've met many French people in my life. Stayed in Paris for 5 days. I visited Paris, or France rather. I'm about to go to France later on this year. I have never had a negative experience with French people. Always found them to be very sweet and kind and nice. But I know there is the stereotype, and I know people have had negative interactions with French people. And now you add this elitism to his comments, and I think this is just a phenomenally stupid thing to say. Again, I think I understand what he was trying to say, just to give him a little bit of fairness here in our conversation. But why? Why, when you're in this position, would you say that? Why would you say that it's the language of migrants and poor people? Like, there are plenty of poor people in France. There are plenty of migrants who speak French. There are plenty of poor people who speak English. There are plenty of people who are migrants who speak all languages. There are plenty of poor people who speak all languages as well. So I just found this to be such a tone-deaf, stupid comment. And yes, you're taking it off the translation, but it's very clear from the translation what he was trying to say and what it came across as. And that's where I think the mistakes come. So it's such a stupid thing to do at a time when he's getting so much crap for a film that insults the Mexican culture. According to a lot of people from Mexico, in Mexico, that it insults their culture. And so Feige tearing out his assistant's hair over Anthony Mackie's and Hudson Thames comments, imagine what Netflix is doing when it's trying to win its first Oscar. And I do believe, this is my speculation, I'm not accusing anybody, I'm not saying I have evidence of anything, but it's my belief that a lot of the negative stuff around the other nominees is being done by people over at Netflix to kind of undercut their chances of winning awards. It's a dirty, dirty business when it comes to the Oscars. People want that damn gold statue like you couldn't believe. And so I'm not surprised. We saw Harvey do nefarious shit to win those Oscars. So at a time when you're doing these things, to have the director of the film that you're trying to put into position to win these awards and get you your first Best Picture Oscar as a company, to have that happen in this situation, I think must be something where Ted Sarandos is pulling his hair out now, or pulling out someone's hair out now. So this is mind-blowing to me on so many levels. So yeah, I just don't understand why he would say stupid stuff like that as well. So yeah, it's mind-blowing to me. I don't know why. What would be the logic here? What are you trying to say with what he's saying? Let's see. Planet Yavin says, I'm Mexican. I was not offended at all by the film. I actually really liked Emilia Pérez. Well, sure, of course. Everyone's got their own opinions on these kinds of things. And, plenty of Mexicans hated the film. So again, I didn't say all of Mexico hated the film, but there are plenty of Mexican critics, Mexican pundits who've come out against the film. And criticized Selena, criticized Sophia, who is the lead. So, this is the world we live in. So you want to be careful about the things you say. And it's important to put that in context. And Jacques did himself no favors here. And I haven't seen that he's walked it back or apologized or whatever, but it is such a dumb thing to say. And it makes no sense to say it. And give people ammunition to come after your movie all over again, right? It just doesn't make any sense at all. So, and he stated numerous times that he wasn't trying to explore Mexican culture in Emilia Pérez, which was actually shot in France, but rather the Mexico in the movie was just a backdrop for the story. And it was just a few weeks ago that Audiard had to cancel the Q&A session at the Cineteca Nacional de Mexico due to controversies over Mexican representation and trans identity. I haven't even broached that subject. He even issued an apology to the Mexican people. Emilia Pérez has bombed at the Mexican box office this month with protesters surrounding the screenings. And so, again, doing this is just so phenomenally stupid. And I wonder where this is going to go, because a lot of people are starting to sense that the fix might be in with Emilia Pérez. You're seeing people make comments like, how is it getting nominated for all these awards when it is so easily destroyed? It is so easily a film that can be easily made fun of and ridiculed and picked apart and cut into pieces because of the mistakes inherent in the movie. And it is really surprising, because there are a lot of filmmakers who have come out in support of the movie and said, like, even Guillermo del Toro came out and said that he liked it. So these are the surprising natures of it. I don't know if I have. Do I have the? I wish I'd remembered to bring up the filmmakers who like the movie. So you guys can be shocked about some of the directors who liked the movie. So let me see if I can look it up real quick. I mean, we're live, so give me a second to look this up. Who liked Emilia Pérez? Let's see if they come up. Let's see here. Okay, so oh no, I have to sign up, so I'm not going to do that. Filmmakers who liked Emilia Pérez. Do critics like him? Most critics are 13 nominations. Oh God, Forbes. I have to pay for Forbes. Ugh, you have to pay for all this stuff. There's a time you can just look stuff up and be set. So the buzz and backlash. Oh no, do I have to do this for the LA Times as well? We'll see. Critical response right now. Yeah, Emilia Pérez holds a 76% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. In his interview for the Times, Robert Abel hailed the film as a full-bodied, colorful, epic, satisfying movie, and a good, imaginative musical. But the audience ratings on the film have been dropping like crazy on all of this. And the pushback has been very strong, as I said earlier. The LGBTQ plus media advocacy group GLAAD has declared the film not good trans representation. It wasn't nominated, as I said last week, I think, for any GLAAD media awards. Some of the critics, LGBTQ plus critics, have called out the film for transphobic tropes, reductive storyline, and cisgender perspective about transness. The film has also been criticized for not being campy enough. Others have defended the film against the situation here, and it's some people have spoken about why trans critics are wrong about this. So it's certainly a very divisive movie. And certainly Jacques did himself no favors with his comments. So, we'll see what the situation leads itself to. And someone as notable as Adriana Paz has defended Emilia Pérez. So it's certainly a divisive film. But Jacques, I think, did himself no favors by jumping out on this. So, all right. I couldn't find the list of filmmakers, but I know it's there somewhere. So, all right. Let's move on to the next thing. What do we got next lined up? Oh yes. All right. So is it? Well, you know what? Let me give me a second. Give me a second here, guys. Let me put this up, because this is where we're going next. So strap in. This is going to be a reaction, watch along, or listen along rather, type of situation. We are back with these people right here. That's right. That's right. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Give me just a second to blow my nose. Hold on. I think I talk too much. That's why I get stuffed up with this situation. So, for those of you who don't know, Justin Baldoni, there was a voicemail message that was released of Justin Baldoni, who left a voicemail at 2 a.m. for Blake Lively. Now, remember, the name of this show is Should Hollywood Shut Up? And certainly Justin Baldoni represents Hollywood. So, I'm going to play you the audio of this thing, and then we're gonna talk about it maybe as we go along with it, because it's not the longest of voicemails, but we'll see. So we're gonna do updates on this. So there's more to come besides this voicemail for you guys. So just so we're clear, and we're gonna break this thing down. So okay, here we go. Let's bring it up. And let me, okay, so let's start it. Hold on. Let's go back to it. All right, here we go. Here's Justin Baldoni. I'm going to turn it. This is a 6.5-minute voicemail, so we will pause it in certain moments.
Hey, Blake. It is 2 a.m. Hopefully this does not wake you up. Wow. There's so much I want to say to you.
Why in the hell are you calling the star of your film at 2 a.m. in the morning? This is a married woman with children. Why are you calling her at 2 a.m.? This is not some young actress who is up and coming and you're her director and she's been out for the night or whatever. Like, this is a woman who has children to get to school, who has a husband and whatever, but you're calling her at 2 a.m. and leaving a voicemail. So
You and I hope that we can wow, there's so much I want to say to you, and I hope that we can FaceTime or see each other in person soon and get to talk more. But I'm just gonna send you a few thoughts, and hopefully it's not gonna be more than a few minutes. But I don't have the best track record. I don't think either one of us have the best track record for our voice memos.
So what does that mean? Does that mean Blake Lively has left him long voicemail memos? Is that what's coming up here? Because remember, this week or late last week, Brian Friedman, I think Justin Baldoni's lawyer, said that they were going to create a website that would have all the text messages and all the audio exchanges between them and video exchanges between them. And we saw they released that video last week that I did a breakdown of. So is there voice messages from Blake's side that are pretty long to Justin that he might release? And this is why Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds this week tried to get a judge to stop the website, a gag order on Brian Friedman, on Justin Baldoni, because they didn't want their business in the streets. And so clearly it seems like he's indicating that Blake Lively has left long voicemails on his machine. We'll see.
I want to start with an apology. Man, reading the second part of your message, my heart sank, and I'm really sorry. I for sure fell short, and you worked really hard on that, and the way you framed it, and how that made you feel. I just want to say thank you for sharing that with me.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know the context of this voicemail, the scene that they wrote on the roof that Ryan Reynolds wrote, remember that if you guys have been following the story, it came out that in the text messages, Blake essentially compared himself to Khaleesi from Game of Thrones, and that Emilia Clarke character, and that Ryan and Taylor Swift were her dragons. And they rewrote this scene, or Ryan rewrote the scene on the rooftop scene, right? It's a big deal. And Justin and apparently this is Justin after that meeting that they supposedly had. And it seems like he thinks he's come to his senses about it, and he's kind of seeing where she's coming from. It seems like that's what he's saying.
That takes a lot of trust and vulnerability, and I feel really grateful that you feel safe enough to tell me that that's how you feel and share that with me. And I'm really sorry. I f***ed up. That is a fail on my part. One thing you should know about me is I will admit and apologize when I fail. I am far from perfect. I'm a very flawed man, as my wife will attest. And and I'm gonna f*** up. I'm gonna say the wrong thing. I'm gonna put my foot in my mouth. I'm gonna you off probably, but I will always apologize and find my way back to center. That is one thing I can assure you of.
So he is trying to say all the buzzwords, right? And he's couching it using his wife in essence to say like, hey, I mess up, and talk to my wife. She'll tell you I can fuck up things sometimes, but I'm also a person who apologizes. I'm trying to do the right thing. So he is walking the walk of the things that he has talked about on his podcast before the podcast went away, about like respecting women and speaking into their pain and speaking into their upsetness. And that if you've been the cause of that, you're addressing that and owning up to it and taking ownership of it and saying what you need to say to fix the situation or appease the situation. Again, this is a 2 a.m. voice note. And again, someone said this, it's not a voicemail, it's a voice note. Either way, it's 2 a.m. So it's, I don't know, it's not the right time to be sending it.
And
because who knows what frame of mind you're in? Are you drunk? Are you tired? Are you exhausted? It sounds like you're exhausted. You can't sleep. So, you know that movie Swingers, you know that movie Sideways, where you just, you know, you say this stuff and you think you're going to say the right thing at some point, you just keep going. Or you think you messed up and you think you can say it better and you keep calling. You know, this is, in essence, a version of that. You should do this the next morning after you've had sleep, after you've rested a little bit, you've had some time away from the situation. We've all done this mistake of calling. Well, anyone who's had relationships or had situations with people, we've all done the mistake of calling later that night when we're really vulnerable and don't have all our thoughts in order, thinking we can somehow save the situation or fix the situation.
Sorry I made you feel that way. That must have felt terrible. And I will for sure do better. That was not my best weekend, and I should have given it more time. And damn right, you got great friends if that's how you felt and they knew that. And we should all have friends like that, aside from the fact that they're two of the most creative people on the planet. The three of you guys together is unbelievable. Talk about energy and just to force all three of you. But I just wanted you to know that I didn't need that, because it's really good and it's going to make the movie sing, like you said. And I'm excited to go through the whole movie with you. You know, I think, and you and I have been trying to build a relationship, which I think we've done successfully. I mean, here we are talking like this, me into my phone at 2 a.m, but largely via text and voice note. And I will be honest with you, that is not my biggest strength. I love being with people and being in somebody's space and being face to face. And I feel like that's where I excel, and definitely fallen short at times in our text. And
so he's floundering at this point, right? I mean, he's floundering, trying to make it better, trying to smooth things over and all of that, but it is not going well. And he's trying to speak into that all, into what's going on here and what have you. So yeah, it is not going well in this message. And I think he thinks the more he talks, somehow it's going to kind of reveal itself to him and it's going to be better and he'll find the right words, but it's clear that he's not finding the right words.
Voice note exchanges, because there's so much to communicate and there's so much happening. And all that to say, I'm just really looking forward to spending time together.
That's it. You're done with the message.
And I think that's going to really go a long way.
No,
for
we've still got
chemistry, which I believe is there.
Of this message.
And has been there from the start. So I was so damn excited when you wanted to do this film. I felt it in the room when we met. And yeah, I think it does come from the both of us being so fucking hardworking and having a vision and not settling. And I'm excited to have a creative partner in that with you. And it's just really exciting. There's so much more to say. There's so much I want to say. And there's one thing that I do need to say.
Okay.
Which is, I am so sorry you have been through what you've been through with these other filmmakers and producers or whoever the people were that you worked with. It just me off.
So now he's speaking into her experience. So clearly she has revealed to him that she has had bad experiences, if you believe her point of view. She's had bad experiences on sets with directors, producers. Never mind that there's quite a lot of people who talk about how terrible she has been on set to people. Someone on TikTok yesterday, I think, who is a chef influencer and was an extra off and on for 6 seasons on Gossip Girl, did a whole video talking about how terrible Blake Lively was to extras, to the people on set, and what have you. So these stories don't end, and it's got nothing to do with a PR campaign. It's got nothing to do with some organized or whatever. There's quite a lot of people now, because everyone has a social media account. There's quite a lot of people who are willing to talk about how terrible people have been to them on sets. And a lot of people fear that, you know?
Those heads that, I'm just still kind of blown away that this is the industry that we're in and that you've experienced that as a woman. And
the irony.
I know I don't need to say it, but that's not at all going to be or will be. Hopefully it's not been the experience with me. There's nothing more exciting to me like that. I get to work with Blake Lively and have her, all of her. I mean, that's what I want. And so there's been no hesitancy with me sending you the final draft file. I am totally fine with that. The only reason I didn't send it today was because I was trying to implement and add your notes into my working draft, which is already like, I'm all over that draft right now. So there's a whole bunch of new stars that are going to be collated pages. And I just haven't had a chance to send it to you, but there's no hesitancy. I'm happy to send it to you. And I'm sorry that that has happened to you before. And I hope after this experience, there will be a new, I don't know. I hope it'll be healing in some way. Because that's all I want. I want the.
There's still another minute of this voicemail message, for God's sake. So here is the irony of this situation. He is sitting here saying that he feels horrible that she has had these horrible situations on set with other directors, actors, producers, what have you. And here he is saying, I hope this doesn't happen on our set. And I hope you don't feel this way about our set. So he is essentially handing her the tools she will need to go after him. And I think he's coming from a place of a good place of trying to smooth things over with her, of trying to make her feel a part of the process, engaged in the process. And remember, this is a guy who's a very small-time filmmaker. She's a very known name. Her husband is a massively known name. So I think maybe someone got a hold of him and was like, hey, man, maybe it was his wife. Maybe other people have said, like, look, producers, look, man, she is the name on the film, bro. No one's going to see this because Justin Baldoni is directing it. They're going to see it because Blake Lively is in it. So, like, you know, talk to her, address the situation, bring her back into the fold. And so maybe this is his way from his learned approaches and what he's learned from other women about how to speak to their pain, speak to their feelings of being ignored. And that's a way of like bringing her back.
This movie to be healing. I want this movie to be commercial, just like you, and affect people and touch people. And I want to walk you through my whole plan and the work that we're doing with the domestic violence partner that we found no more, and just my vision. And I just know that this can be really, really special, and it's gonna be special. And you're the secret sauce, and we're the secret sauce. And anyways, I have so much more to say. I'm gonna stop rambling because Jesus Christ, it's been 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So me. I'm sorry. You probably have kids all over you and a baby on your boob, and you're listening to me ramble at 2 a.m. I hope you're feeling better, and give Ryan my love. Thank you for sending me that. It means the world to me that you trust me with your feelings and your thoughts like that. And wow. I can't wait to spend more time with you. Okay, I'm done cutting myself off. Good night.
Yeah, good night is right. Wow. Why are you mentioning her boob in any context? Why are you mentioning her physical body part in any context, even if it's a child? Like, I don't understand why you would say that. Maybe you guys got too friendly on the set, so you think you can say something like that, but that is a professional line that you're not supposed to cross. And I know on sets things get fluid and whatever, but this is how you give ammunition to another side, is by, you know, making these getting too familiar, becoming too familiar, and thinking you're safe. You're never safe in Hollywood. Never. No matter what anyone tells you, you're never safe in Hollywood, because too many people's lives are at stake. Too much money's at stake. People's ambitions are at stake. And so you always have to watch your P's and Q's on your set. You always have to watch what you say, who you hang around, who you become in league with. Those things are super important to remember when it comes to Hollywood. And so I think he got to a point where he was feeling a little too familiar in the situation, and now he's getting smoked. But like, yeah, he wants all of her. They are the secret sauce. And he's trying to say nice things to like, hey, thanks for sharing your feelings with. That's the stuff they train you to say to make another person feel heard or important, is like, hey, thanks for sharing your feelings with me. Thanks. This is like HR speak, is basically what he is vacillating between familiar speak and HR speak the whole time. And it is a little weird to hear in a voicemail like this. No, obviously this wasn't meant for public consumption, but when you look at it in the context, I think he is trying to bring her back to the fold. So he's trying to speak to her ego and speak to her hurt feelings of negative interactions or experiences that she's had on other sets. And who knows if she's told him the truth about her part in all of that, or if the truth is that she was, she felt abused or was abused or discounted or not heard on sets rather. But, there's a lot of smoke around Blake, some fire as well. Certainly with the Anna Kendrick stuff. Paul Feig even had to come out and try to say that there's no issue between her and Anna, because the big rumor is that her and Anna, if you watch old junkets for the first A Simple Favor movie, you can tell that there is like Blake's like feeling like she's being left out because Anna Kendrick, people are just fawning all over Anna and she feels a little left out. There's a clip going around where she's like, well, what about what I'm good at? What about what I'm great at? And Anna's like so uncomfortable, you can tell. And so there might be a lot of people speculating there's love lost between them, which is why the film is being held up, because Anna won't do a press junket with Blake. But again, Paul came out and said that's not true. The film is still in post-production. It's still coming out, blah, blah, blah. That's why the delays are happening. But it's your choice if you want to believe him, because it's Hollywood. And again, he's protecting a film. And Paul Feig is not under a lie detector test. No one's going to toss Paul Feig out of Hollywood for lying if he's lying about the film being delayed because of post-production, not because there's all this drama around Blake Lively and people will not go see the movie now, because it was kind of a quiet hit, Simple Favor. Paul Feig is pretty hit or miss lately, but I know a lot of people liked A Simple Favor, and certainly people enjoyed Blake in A Simple Favor. And so it's just a weird situation overall. And now the new reports coming out that Blake Lively's brother-in-law, Bart Johnson, is taking back the unkind comments he has made in the past after previously defending Blake amid her lawsuit drama with Justin Baldoni. Johnson got on Twitter on Tuesday, yesterday, to share a throwback photo from the set of High School Musical, because he played Zac Efron's dad in the films. And he received a response asking if he deleted his past tweets allegedly about Baldoni, because Blake Lively and husband Ryan Reynolds were, quote, being exposed as liars amid their legal back and forth. And he said, my past comment wasn't for any individual, never said a name, because he is married to Blake's half-sister, Robin Lively. It was directed at a certain type of person that I find performative and disingenuous. Oh, the irony. When they post clips of themselves being amazing and even add sappy music to enhance it, there's a lot of that out there. The irony that he would say something like that when he is connected to Blake, connected to Ryan, connected to Zach. Oh, for the love of God. And so he elaborated in a separate post where he apologized and said, anytime I've said anything unkind about someone, I've regretted it. Fortunately, that's almost never, and definitely not when I'm at my best. Wow, that's exactly what Justin said to Blake. I'm not at my best. This wasn't my best day. Regardless if it's true or not, if it's my opinion, even if I'm trying to speak truth or stand up for someone, it's never good. Even in times where it might feel justified in doing the right thing, it makes no difference. There's a better way. So he admitted that he wasn't thrilled about with his behavior online. It's below the standard I have for myself, and I regret it. I do sincerely apologize to anyone I've hurt or let down by saying something that sounds mean. I'll do better if you follow me. No, you'll be hard-pressed to find more than one time I've criticized anyone on social. And then he says you'll find a million times where I've uplifted, supported, encouraged people, blah, blah, blah. So that's the situation there. So there's a lot. There's just a lot that's going on right now with all of this. More things are being exposed, and the court date has been set for this. What does it say? Does the court date say? Oh, sorry. I guess it's a video. Let me see what the court date is because I know it was announced. So they're headed to trial. Let's see here. The order review Tuesday, Judge Louis J. Lyman set the trial date for March 9th of 2026. Next year, ordered both parties to submit case management plans. So we are, oh my God, I hope we're not a whole year of this nonsense and then we have the trial. For God's sakes, guys, settle this fucking thing once and for all because this is just destroying both of them. And it makes no sense to keep going with this nonsense. Just absolutely zero. So, all right, let's walk away from that. Let's move on to some more. Let's move on to some Streamlabs here that have come through. Thank you to everybody who's sending stuff in here. Sean Brennan says, "Hey, Rocha, just started Lioness based on your recommendation from the Cinephile." Well, awesome. So glad I did. Zoe is absolutely incredible in it. Yeah, I agree. And she's the best part of Emilia Pérez. She is the best part. Best part is Zoe. I think she's a shoo-in to win that Best Supporting Actress. She is the only reason to see that movie, in my opinion, in terms of acting and performance and delivery. She's incredible. So, so I'm glad you're enjoying it there, Sean. He said, by the way, thanks for picking the Chiefs to lose by 24. I hope I can count on the same for the Super Bowl. # Blood Feud for life. All love. Yeah, I know. I picked the Bills to beat them 34-10. I thought the Chiefs were struggling. I thought their offense would come up with a bunch of shits, but man, they took care of business and they knew exactly how to thumb it in the face of the Bills by using Xavier Worthy, who has been a hit or miss player for them all year. They used him so effectively in that game. And in the end, Josh did his stuff that he does, his occasional gunslinger stuff that he does. He did miss Shakir on that 4th and whatever it was, 18 or whatever, 15. But, people giving shit for that when two defenders were bearing down on him are just foolish. I am Two Fly Cam says, I for one enjoy your solo stuff, Rocha. Thank you. Maybe you can cover more political stuff. That will be a content farm for the foreseeable future. True. What's your top 5 most anticipated movies of this year? I can't wait for Big Blur and the MJ film. Well, the MJ film, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. It seems like if you read Snyder's newsletter and other reports here, that MJ film is having a lot of troubles. And Jeff, I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow on the hot mic. By the way, we're set up for 4 p.m. PT tomorrow. But yeah, apparently it is a dumpster fire. They're doing reshoots. The back third of the movie had to be reshot or redone because of legal issues that were overlooked in a settlement with one of the victims of who made the accusations about Michael, and were settled out of court. So it's going to be a while since till you see that MJ film. I think my top 5 are the standard top 5: Superman, Fantastic Four, the new Mission Impossible movie. Let me see if I can see what else. I'm probably going to do. I know I'm supposed to do a video of this stuff, but I don't know. I tell you what, Sinners jumped up for me after watching that trailer the other day. Sweet Mary, Mother of God, does that look incredible? So Sinners, I think I have to, and Thunderbolts for sure, more than Captain America, even though I'm looking forward to Captain America. It's not quite as high for me. 28 Years Later, F1. These are films that I'm definitely looking forward to. As I said, Superman already, Fantastic Four already. Freakier Friday, no thanks. Tron Ares, if it's good, Jesus, I hope it's good. Definitely looking forward to that. I guess the second Wicked film, the part 2, to see if it's any good. Those are probably some of the ones that I'm looking forward to the most overall. So there's your answer to your question, bud. Thanks so much for sending in the Streamlab. Let's see. Mike McKenzie says, hey, John, you want to talk more about video games on this show? Let me ask, what are your most anticipated games for this year? Mine are Ghost of Yote, Metroid Prime 4, GTA 6, and Doom Dark Ages. You've pretty much nailed it. Let me see if there are any games that I'm the 2K25 for WWE. If you've seen the Bloodline cover, holy God. It looks awesome. I don't know if I'm going to spend $130 on it, because that's a lot. Maybe if I get like people to donate and then I'll play the game on my Twitch or on YouTube, maybe that might be the way to go. But yeah, that's a hell of a price tag for that game. So, but we'll see. I know Assassin's Creed Shadows. I have a what do you call it? I put an installment down over at GameStop, which is right down the street from me, for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and the fact that it got moved to this year angered me on so many levels. March 20th is now when it's coming out, so that kind of sucks. Yeah, Doom: The Dark Ages coming out May 15th. Looking forward. Death Stranding 2, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing if they get that right. Ghost of Yote, absolutely. Grand Theft Auto 6, I saw that. Is there a new I think I saw the new trailer that came out. Metroid 4 for sure. Yeah, Ninja Gaiden is another one that I certainly want to see. The Witcher 4, and then Shadow Labyrinth. Those are some of the ones I'm looking forward to. So thanks for the question, man. Appreciate it, Mike. I don't need to rev up the Twitch engine again and start playing games on there. Fred Tastic says, hey, John, I'm showing my support and loving this discussion. Thank you, Fred. What Marvel needs to do is put a clause in future contracts saying if you misstate a comment in the press, then Kevin will send the Turk to kick you in the nuts. Holy Jesus. Oh, you don't want to threat physical harm to your stars of your projects, but maybe figuratively you can say that. But I think docking them a certain amount is fair. You get that in every other league. Why in sports? Why wouldn't you have that here in a situation like this where you go, you misspoke, you cost the film money. We're going to take some of that money out of your bottom salary, out of your residuals, whatever. Like, honestly, I think you should have to pay if you make a comment like that. It's all a matter of relative forgiveness. Like if the studio's like, well, maybe we get it, you misspoke, we get what you're trying to say, don't do it again. But there's other avenues to explore here as well. I'm gonna take a drink here. I'm getting a little dry. Oh, what's up, Haskell? Thank you, Haskell. I always appreciate Haskell coming in. Says, hi, John. I know the Lady Outlaw is a chef. Yes, she was. Please check out the Netflix Korean cooking show, Culinary Class War. 80 of Korea's top chefs battle it out and 60 get eliminated. Wow. They then battle 20 of the best chefs in Korea, including Michelin star chefs. It's 12 episodes ranging from 1 hour to an hour and 10 minutes. Ooh, it's fantastic. I binged all 12 episodes on Saturday. My only issue with it is some of the English dubs are odd. Even Sean and Brett in the chat back me up saying it's awesome. All right. I will put this on our list because we certainly love Physical 100, which we thought was an awesome Korean reality show. So maybe we'll explore this. I think this is a great way in when you mentioned the chef aspect of the Lady Outlaw. So I will definitely take a look at that one. Thank you very much, Haskell. I appreciate that a lot. All right, DUI Champ says, so Taylor Sheridan and Mel Gibson can go on Rogan and spew dumb shit. Dennis Quaid can get as political as he wants, but lefty actors have to clarify and tiptoe around the right. F that. Well, that's fair. And by the way, again, Mackie did not apologize. Mackie clarified things. With Gibson, Gibson's not relevant. He's not the lead of a Marvel show or movie. So it doesn't matter what he says. He's an idiot. Like, really, a lot of the stuff he said, people are like, well, you got to watch him on Rogan, man. He's so cool. I watched that Rogan interview. It's a bunch of nonsense. He's essentially going down the conspiracy route that all these MAGA people do, where it's like, oh, they held the water back for a smelt fish and they did this or that. And it's like, none of that is fucking true, you nutballs. And neither is it true that Trump turned on the faucets with the military. What a bunch of moronic nonsense. They want you to be stupid so they can feed you stupid stuff and have you swallow it down whole. That's why they cut education. That's why they go after the Department of Education. That's why they put an incompetent buffoon in charge of the Department of Education during the first administration of Betsy DeVos. And that's why they do this stuff. They want you to be dumb so they can just lure you in with sound bites and have you believe conspiracy theories. And there are just a lot of intelligent people. I don't think Gibson's a moron. I just think there's people who go down these wormholes and they see this stuff like, it's got to be true, And so, and certainly, there's been stuff in the past with Mel and his mental state, shall we say. So, it is what it is. And again, Dennis Quaid, not a person who is relevant in any way, shape, or form in terms of being able to lead films or lead Marvel films. Yes, was he fun in what is it? Oh, in The Substance? Absolutely. He was a lot of fun playing a vapid, sexist executive. I can't imagine that's when you're MAGA, it's too difficult. And then he's got that serial killer show coming out soon with oh God, what's the actress's name? She's the Broadway, Annalee Ashford. And so I want to see that. It looks good. I think Dennis is a great actor. I don't go to Dennis for political commentary. I don't go to Dennis for any semblance of political commentary, or Mel Gibson. And look, Taylor, I don't know what Taylor's, I didn't watch Taylor on Rogan, so I don't know what he said, but I like Taylor's shows because they ridicule both sides. And that's kind of where I'm coming to now, is I'm ridiculing both sides on these situations, because there's a lot of room for both sides to do stupid shit and have done stupid shit, and you got to call it out. But that's where I'm at. So thank you, DUI champ, for that. Jason Ascar says, love what you said about people being good. My parents are conservative. My best friend is Latino Democrat. Media would hate this, but they actually enjoy each other, and my parents love him. Yeah. I mean, I have a number of friends. I'm not going to reveal who they are, but I have a number of friends whose parents voted for Trump and are MAGA people, and I get along with them very well. I love them madly. I would never want any ill to be visited upon them, and they wish me the same. Even if I go out there and say stuff, they don't agree with me, and they're not on my side about this stuff, but they would never wish me ill, and I always appreciate that. And even I was watching what's his name? Kemper, the guy on Daily Show. He does those stand-ups with people that he walks on, and the street, man on the street stuff with people that he walks up and talks to. And some of the people recently, like the people he interviewed who came to the inauguration but didn't get a chance to be inside. I mean, some of those people came off as really just, regular folks. And yes, I don't like that they support Trump. I don't like that Trump is being an absolute madman right now. But like, they're regular people. They're salt of the earth people. And you can hear when they talk about this stuff that, that you can actually talk with people and reason with people. And Justin, kind of weighs in on certain things, and they laugh with him as he's ridiculing them because they know it's kind of ridiculous. And so I appreciate that. And so I do think there are a lot of good people out there. Yes. Are there some bad apples? Are there people who want to create divisiveness and keep divisiveness going because they're using it to deal with their own anger about the world and their failed lives and their failed accomplishments and inability to have succeeded in their lives? It's so much easier to blame everybody else instead of looking at yourself. So do I think they're doing that? Yes, absolutely. And those are the bad faith characters involved in our political discussion. And that's happening, by the way, on both sides, because there are plenty of liberals who will do that and progressives who will do the same thing in a different way. Instead of looking at the mistakes they made in their own lives, they will blame other people, other situations, other systems, instead of being taking some responsibility for themselves. And that's what you see in our world, so to speak. I mean, but you have the bad faith people. Like I just recently had, I'll say this now, I'll probably get in trouble. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for this, but I'll say this now. Like, I had a person, a friend I've had for years. We met in a CrossFit gym way back when I did CrossFit a few pounds ago, back in the I guess around the 2010s is when I got into it. Because I at the time where I was living, a CrossFit gym was right across the street from me, literally walking like 2 minutes, 1 minute from my house, my apartment rather. And I loved it being there. It was called Cave CrossFit, and I had a great time there in Hollywood. It was right by the Grove over there, and I met some really wonderful people there. I did 3 years of CrossFit there. They were great. I only got injured once, I think, because I pushed myself too far on something. They were very such cool people. And I met this guy. He's a British guy. He's an actor, and he was a fan of a separate Premier Club, and we became Premier League club, and we became friends. And I was always very supportive of him. I followed him along. He built an actor studio out there in the UK. He's been in a number of things, including Peaky Blinders. and we were friends on Facebook. And I posted about Elon Musk and his Nazi salute, and it absolutely, well, I posted about that salute that Elon did. I have to edit this part out now so they don't take away my ads. But I posted about that, and he posted and he said, well, that salute may be different in America. Here in Europe is how we, and so I said to him, hey, brother, I appreciate your point of view. We're not going to agree. I know what I saw, and whatever you believe is what you believe. You have a right to it, but I know what I saw, and I'm very firm in my belief on that. But I do wish you the best, and I'm always supporting you as an actor, and I hope you continue, and I wish you continued success. So I thought I answered it very firmly, and that I believe what I believe, but also respectfully, and that, hey, man, let's not let this come between us. I still, respect you and support you. Well, some of my other friends started commenting, and I missed one of his comments because I didn't want to get into it with people, and some people came after him and whatever. Well, he commented something really strongly in a negative way towards me about it. And I missed the comment. And so what happened the next day or 2 days later, he blocked me on Facebook, blocked me on social media, even though I did not say anything negative. It was because some of my Jewish friends were chiming in and going after him and going after a friend of mine as well, who was defending what Elon Musk did. And so this is where I found it to be a bad faith thing. Like, if you're going to post something on my Facebook and you're going to comment on it, have the guts to stick around and deal with people commenting back. And then for you to run and block me without so much as sending me a message saying, hey, man, this is getting too heated. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I clearly should not have posted that. I had no idea the reaction was going to be so strong. A lot of Jewish people were very upset about what Elon did, and so they responded to my friend's post underneath my post on the thread, and they went after him. And he, instead of reaching out to me going, hey, brother, I made a mistake, or just deleting his comment and sending me a message and saying, I shouldn't have said that. Clearly, there are people feel this way. Whatever. His decision was to block me and all this stuff. And this is where the problem is. The MAGA mind, some of the people in the MAGA mind, they're like, well, if you don't believe what I believe, you're irrelevant, right? And we saw all these MAGA people after the election were like, oh, why are Democrats not, or progressives or liberals, why are they cutting out their friends and family members? MAGA has been doing that for 8 years now. So for them to cry victim about it was so disingenuous. And here's here's a perfect example. This is a friend who I have sent messages to in support, who has responded back to me. We were, very positive in our relationships with each other as friends and supportive. But the fact that people went after him about that situation, and instead of creating space, being like, look, I don't agree with you guys. This is what I saw, but you have a right to feel your way. I'm not going to comment anymore. He just decided to do that. So now I've lost a friend, and it's a shame. It's an utter shame. It's my first experience with it. But I just feel sad about it because I really like him as an actor. I really support the fact that he has worked his way through the business to get to the place that he's in now there in the UK, that he has his own acting studio and is training young actors in the business and how to succeed in the business. So I'm just very supportive of him, but it's a shame when he could have left my comment alone, he felt the need to comment and then couldn't handle the heat and ran away. And that to me says more about your character when you run away than when you stick around. And so it's a shame. It's an utter shame. Let's see what else we got here. Yes. JC Mighty says, Cinephiles, how long? When we started listening, my daughter was 7. Now she's studying film. You will be in her future Oscar speech. Holy God, JC Mighty. If she mentions us, that would be such an honor for us to be mentioned for anyone winning an Oscar if we inspired them to look at film and analyze film and fall in love with film. I mean, those are the things you can give. I don't have children. I can't give them, and I won't have children. I can't give them, I can't pass on the stuff that I know. So in essence, these shows are what I'm passing on to people. And I'm always honored when young people listen to our stuff or listen to me here, it's always an honor that they create space to hear older, because a lot of young people are like, old people ain't got shit to say. And I remember when I was young and felt the same way about old people. It's like, what, you've given up. What are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. When you get older, you realize, oh yeah, maybe they did have some idea of what they were saying. But JC, that would be an honor for us. And please thank her from us that she's listening to our Cinephile show. We appreciate it madly. Simon Sexter says, the Major League connection is that I didn't know that Omar Epps was recast as the character Wesley Snipes was playing in the original because I had already drank and seen Juice. Nothing but love for you. Respect, Simon. Absolutely. Also, Simon had another one in here. I feel like, oh yeah, no, he already said that already. Sorry about that. But I thought Simon had another one that I skipped over. Yeah, no, I didn't. Okay, cool. Thank you, Simon. DUI Champ says, Brother Rocha, for the next 4 years, every 4th of July, I'm going to buy a Trump wig off the side of the highway and take a dump in it. Is that woke? No, it's decidedly not woke. It's a bit too far, I would say, and you don't need to do that, for God's sakes. And I love how you're assuming that we might still have an America in 4 years. I don't know. With the way he's going, what we see as America may not be what we have by the end of the 4 years. We will see. But I am encouraged by the amount of people that push back on the freeze and made him change his mind. He is absolutely smarting from that loss. He totally took a punch in the face by the public, because what he did affected what he was going to do affected so many people's grandparents, so many people's parents, so many people's children. I mean, when you're doing that kind of freeze, it's draconian. And I'm no surprise that that demon from hell, Stephen Miller, is the one who suggested it, because they don't look at people as human beings. To them, they are numbers on a ledger. They're all hairy limes looking down from the carnival park ride at a bunch of ants on the ground. We're not human beings to them. We don't matter to them. We're just numbers on a ledger. We're just things in the way of them satisfying themselves. Did you see that representative say, and I don't want to get too political, but did you see that representative say the other day that, well, I worked through high school and I don't think anybody should be getting free meals in high school. Let them starve. In essence, saying let them starve. I worked through high school as a son of immigrants who were poor when they came to this country. We didn't have much. I worked with my dad as a child and a young teen, and then eventually got my permit, because you had to get a permit at the time to work if you were under 16. I got a permit to work at the mall and make money for myself so I could buy myself CDs or movies or afford to take a high school girlfriend out and to get a car, and pay gas and pull gas in the car. I'm very blue collar. My father made me work for everything. And I still wouldn't stop young kids from poor situations getting meals. I don't think that's a negative. We have to take care of each other. Too much about the MAGA agenda is about destroying each other and hurting each other and hating on each other and passing judgment on each other. And I'm not saying liberals or progressives don't have, stupid policies or policies that only favor one side. Everyone is subject to the dollar. Everyone can be a slave to the dollar. I mean, can be, not is, can be. But I know that a lot of the things they've proposed over the last few days are just horrible things. Removing inspector generals who are objective people to stop fraud from happening, firing Justice Department officials who rightfully went after him. I mean, we just saw the South Korea former president get impeached within a year because he tried to do a coup. If only we'd had a fast-moving justice system in this country, the same thing would have happened to Trump. But now we're stuck with this situation, and they're trying to destroy the country from the inside out, and it is terrible to see. So I hope people are waking up and being more aware of it, and I really hope the same people for 8 years who said to me constantly, and I mean pundits, and I mean people in this space, and I mean fans and people who've listened and hate watchers who've said like, oh, why does he always bring up politics? Why is he always talking about politics? This is fucking exactly why. Okay? This is why. Because I knew what was coming. I knew what was coming as he got more and more power, as people stopped him less and less. And this is what we see now. And I guarantee you, a lot of the people, you're already seeing all kinds of people posting on social media about the fuck around and find out situations they're in now, which is such a shame. And so I knew this was coming. And this is why I kept talking about it. And I know you guys felt some of you guys felt I talked about it ad nauseum, but I was trying to make people aware of what was happening. And too many people think that too many people on that side, too many people were involved in the MAGA agenda up at the top. I don't mean the regular folks who are just trying to make a living and eke out a living and get food for their kids and whatever. The too many people on the top are invested in destroying the country and them reaping the spoils of it and turning us all into indentured servants for these massive corporations. So the fat cats can keep making their money, and the rest of us struggle to pay our bills and pay our rent. And this is what you see happening with the agenda they're pushing forward. This isn't going to lower the price of eggs or the price of gasoline. And no matter how many times they say, be patient, the only people telling you to be patient are the ones who are going to benefit from it. That's the truth. Ewok says he's not randomly calling her at 2 a.m. They were in the midst of a conversation. No, they were not. She sent him that long Khaleesi text only minutes earlier, and he immediately responded with his voice note. They were not in the midst of a conversation. They had a conversation earlier in the day, and then he had thought about it and then responded back because of what had happened in that meeting. So, they were not in the midst of a conversation. Come on. Haunted _Adams says, just want to say love the channel and the community. Thank you, Haunted. I appreciate you being here. Love you, brother. You've been here with us for a long time, so thank you so much for being here. By the way, there's 300 of you hanging out still with me right now as we go into our third hour. So I got to wrap this up at some point, but thank you all so much for hanging out. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. Follow me on my social media. Leave your comments down below. I'm certainly going to put up time codes for this at some point here tonight after I take a rest and have some dinner. But thank you for being part of the community, Haunted, and thank you to everybody who's part of the community here on the Outlaw Nation. Fredtastic says it's easy to recognize the stupid people because they repeat stupid shit. If you don't know about a person, then put a microphone in front of them. True. Very true. I hope I'm not repeating stupid shit. I hope you guys think I'm saying some semblance of remotely intelligent or smart stuff. So thank you, Fred. I appreciate you being here, brother. Sean Brennan says, are you going to live stream the Super Bowl? And if the Chiefs win, are they the greatest dynasty in NFL history with the 3P? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Neither is Patrick Mahomes the GOAT. You can scream and cry and pound the walls all you want. But if you never beat the GOAT, you can't be the GOAT. As Ric Flair said, if you can't beat the man, to be the man, rather, you got to beat the man. And Mahomes lost to Brady twice in the Super Bowl and in the playoffs. So to me, he can never be the GOAT. Just never be the GOAT. Maybe if he wins 10 Super Bowls, maybe. But the stink of the refs over him is just so massive. And I know, Tom, we saw Belichick with the videotaping and stealing signals, possibly. Tom with the deflated balls. But the eye test, right? The eye test. And I just think people sense Tom is the greater quarterback. And we'll see if Patrick gets the 10 Super Bowls. That's got to be the minimum. To even be considered in the conversation, you got to get to 10 Super Bowls to be considered the GOAT, And so I don't think Patrick is. Damn, he might be on Mount Rushmore by the time he's done of quarterbacks, but I just don't see him as the GOAT. Chris Corcoran says Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler differ on Israel-Palestine. If the subject comes up in the Snow White press about it, who'll get in more trouble? Rachel gets flack already, but Gal's stance has led to boycotts. I think they're both going to avoid it. If they're smart, they both avoid it because the film is not about that. If the film was if Snow White was a Israel-Palestine commentary, then okay, fine. Absolutely. Talk about it. It's the subject of the movie. But if they're asked about these things, I don't think they should say a word because your job on a junket is not to talk about these issues unless your film is connected to those issues. Now, there are occasional moments where a massive issue like 9/11 happens and you've got, you're at a press junket and someone asks you about it where you were. That's a different situation, right? That's a thing that affects globally. The Israel-Palestine stuff it can be I suppose it can be a global situation, but that's an ongoing thing that has been centuries going in terms of the battle, right? And so I think there are certain situations where you can comment on stuff And then there are other situations where it doesn't make any sense to comment on stuff. So I don't see that they would, even though they have every right to. I just don't see that it makes any sense to do so because it'll damage the film more than anything else. So let's see if I got another Streamlab. No, that's everything for now. So thank you all so much for that. Let's do one more story. For those of you who are still hanging out, let's do one more story. I love you guys for hanging out with me. 300 of you hanging out with me right now. Let's talk about this guy. Let's talk about this guy and the comments he had. Quentin Tarantino here. For those of you who don't know, he was at the Sundance Film Festival on Monday, and in a surprise interview, by the way, no one anticipated that Tarantino was going to do this. Sorry, I had to drink something. He decided to take aim at Hollywood. And by the way, shout out to Jordan Rumio, World of Real. I'm reading his write-up on this. Thank you, Jordan, for all you do, brother. I love your site. I've been going to your site more and more lately, and so great stuff, brother. I hope I could interview you sometime here on the Outlaw Nation if you happen to be watching, which I'm not sure you do. But in a surprise interview at the Sundance Film Festival on Monday, Tarantino decided to take aim at Hollywood, and more particularly the streaming services, for contributing to the death of the movie-going experience. He said, what the fuck is a movie now? Something that plays in theaters for a token release for 4 freaking weeks, and by the second week you can watch it on television? I didn't get into all of this for diminishing returns. He said that the theatrical releases have gotten drastically worse since his last film, 2009's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. By the way, 2019's rather, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's primarily taking aim at studios that, quote, show pony exercise, and they're not giving movies proper theatrical bows by instead dumping the titles and streaming after just a few weeks in theaters. He said by the second week, I didn't get into, I mean, it was bad enough in 97. It was bad enough in 2019. And that was the last fucking year of movies. And Jordan agrees with him. He says it's infuriating to watch studios dump their successful films on streaming after just a few weeks of theatrical. Yeah, Wicked was the latest blatant example, which in late December was still racking up big money, but Universal decided that a month was more than enough time to throw it online. And look, it made a lot of money when it went online. So I get where Tarantino is coming from, even if I think at times he's a bit of a blowhard about the movie industry and about the sanctity of movies. And he's in his 60s now. He is the old guard about movies. So I get it, though. I mean, I respect Quentin. He's done 9 fantastic films. I don't think he's ever made a bad film. Yeah, I even like the Grindhouse one. I will defend the Grindhouse film. I'll defend all his films, really, overall. And I respect him. And now he says he's not going to make his 10th film. I think he said something like until his kid is able to really understand what he does. So now he can make his final film. But he does love to be the center of attention. And boy, does he love to be the center of attention. Boy, does he love to wax lyrical about movies. Boy, does he love to excuse his inactions around Harvey Weinstein. Boy, does he love to put his hands around the throat of his actresses in a movie. Boy, does he love to endanger Uma Thurman, as she spoke about on Kill Bill. All of that is kind of blown over because he wrote that, whatever that book is, Cinema Cavalcade or whatever it was. And I get it. And there's a lot of film fanboys and fangirls who love Quentin and think he shits gold and walks on water. I am not one of those people. Remember, Quentin is a video store clerk who became a phenomenal director. And I would never argue his intense knowledge of film, shall I say another word, encyclopedic knowledge of films. But I also think that and a lot of these creatives don't have the perspective on the industry that insiders of the industry have. They know that people are going to movies less and less, not because you're not keeping the movies in the theaters longer. It's because you have made the ability to get, like I saw yesterday at Costco, an 83-inch television is $2,500 now. I remember when an 83-inch television was 10 grand. Now you can get an LG OLED at your local Costco, 83 inches for $2,500. You can get a sound system in your house with surround that can mirror your experience in the theater for about $1,000 more from like Bose or Sonos or all these places. So if you have a little bit of money to invest, you can create an environment that mirrors your experience in the theater. So why would you go to the theater and sit with people who are talking through important moments, opening candy through important moments? No offense to older people, but certainly elderly people talking loudly to each other because they're so deaf from their age, which it happens to everybody. So I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying that that's what you can experience. People who are on their fucking phones playing games, people who are assholes in movie theaters and won't shut the fuck up, people who play games and when you call them out, get upset and want to start a fight with you. So there's all kinds of reasons. I've had such horrible experiences in San Diego at screenings, not even at regular movie-going theater experience, at screenings where you would argue that people are looking forward to seeing the movie and should shut the fuck up. They are in the movie theater talking through the movie. I have put my noise-canceling headphones into my ears in order to hear the movie and drown them out behind me. I had in Gladiator 2, I had a couple sit next to me, a young couple in their 26 next to me, and homies shook his icy for 15 fucking minutes so he could get the last sip of it into his mouth. In the meantime, him and his girlfriend were loudly talking about everything that was going on the screen. So this idea that movies should stay in theaters, yes, in a vacuum, in a utopian world, great. I love this idea. But the truth is, the movie-going experience is so horrible now that people don't want to go and subject themselves to it. People don't want to go and deal with people sneezing and coughing and, doing all that stuff on them, children crying, parents bringing children into R-rated horror films. They don't want to do where they cry and yell and scream. They don't want to deal with that nonsense. People are so disrespectful to the experience now. So yes, where Tarantino is coming from is the filmmaker's point of view and the director's point of view, and he's putting himself up on the cross so that he can die for representing the other filmmakers and fighting for their cause. I am Spartacus and all of that. But the truth is that theaters know that people are staying home in larger numbers than ever before. I said this on Collider Mailbag, and I said it on my show right after COVID, that we are going to get used to staying home. I've said this on the Christian Harloff show. I said this on my numerous Outlaw Nation shows in the past. People got used to staying home. People saw that, hey, you know what? I can enjoy them. A lot of us who grew up watching movies, we saw the classics on a 25-inch or 20-inch television. I saw Lawrence of Arabia on a big old tube television that was only 25 inches. Yes, did it going in the theaters, did it expand the experience? Yes, but I still loved the movie. So there are plenty of people who are quite happy to watch films at home and not go to the movie theater because they're not cinephiles. They just love movies and enjoy movies and don't revere them in the same way that other people do. So they're not going to put themselves through it. And studios know this, which is why they go, we're going to get what we can in the first few. And by the way, the studios have trained this, and we allowed ourselves to be trained to go opening night, right? Opening night never used to be a thing. It was only over the last few years. Marvel, I think, was a part of this as well. Star Wars to a degree. Like opening night, you had to be there on opening night so that like people who wanted to ruin the movie for you the next day at the office or that Monday at the office or with your job or whatever, or even online now lately, you saw the movie so you wouldn't have it ruined for you. So you went up. So we allowed ourselves to be trained to do that, right? The other films, you can get around, more artistic films, independent films, you get around to those films. But those big tentpole films, we got to be there opening night. And so Wicked kind of counts in that way. And so the studio was like, look, we're going to put this out on VOD in a month and a half. And it broke all kinds of records for VOD because people wanted to watch it at home. So in a way, the studios are catering to their audience. The ones that want to go to the theater to see these big films, they will go in the first month. And yes, there'll be stragglers who don't. And those, sorry, you're the minority. We don't have to cater to you. But and then the rest of the people who want to get it at home because they will wait because they don't run a YouTube channel. They don't have to do reviews. They don't have to get stuff out there. They're willing to wait. they will wait till it drops, and then they'll break numbers in how they download the film or in VOD, and they'll pay the $25 as opposed to the matinee price. Like, they'll do whatever, and then they'll share it with their kids, and the studio will make money. This is the reality. Him being Don Quixote about this and tilting at windmills helps no one, and it's not the reality. We're not going back. We're not going back to a time where all of these films hang out for months in the movie theaters. It's not going to happen. And I don't care how many times you fall on the art, or the altar of art, rather. It's a wasted effort. And I get it. You keep pushing your brand, and I'm savior of film and all of that. And I do, as someone who co-hosts a podcast about great films and breaking down great films, I totally respect that. And I think there should be people out there who are talking about the need to save classic film, to uplift classic film. I mean, David Zaslav wanted to destroy TCM. If it wasn't for these strong, notable directors like Paul Thomas Anderson, Steven Spielberg, Scorsese, he might have accomplished crushing TCM and destroying that as a network and taking it off the air, which would have been a crime. Because I think now more than ever, classic films are so important for people to go back to and watch on TV or in the big screen if they're lucky to be in a city with what's it called? An R house. I forget what it's called when they screen old movies like the New Beverly did and other places in other Hollywood did. Those are those houses that bring those movies back for people to appreciate. I mean, I was watching Serpico today. I haven't seen Serpico in years, but I was watching it on my laptop. And guess what? I was just as engrossed in the movie as I would have been watching it in the movie theater. And so great movies are great movies, regardless of where you watch them. They are great movies. And I would argue that if a movie affects you while you're watching it on your fucking iPhone, that makes it even more great. That solidifies it as an even more great film that you can enjoy it on your iPhone or on the big screen. The job of the studios is to make money. They are not here to stroke the artistic person's hair and rub his tummy and tell them they're amazing. They're there to give you a facility to pursue your dreams and to hopefully make money with you as you put your art out into the world, and they make some money off of your art because they gave you the chance or funded your art or distributed your art. They make a cut. The studios understand people are staying home, so we've got to put this out on digital and streaming earlier so we can make some money off of it. That's their job. That's why they have a board. That's why they have a CEO. That's why they have executives. It's their job to make money off these movies. And so I understand Tarantino's point of view. I totally respect it and appreciate it. I do think he's off base because there have been amazing movies since 2019. And there have been movies that have stayed in the theaters for a long time, like Oppenheimer and Barbie, even after they went to digital and still made money. So I don't think he's 100% correct in that assessment. There have been a number of phenomenal movies over the last 5 years in the movie theater that have stayed there, and we've gotten to enjoy them and experience them in a positive way. So again, look, Quentin is a much more successful person in life than me, much more, right? But it doesn't mean I can't have my opinion on what he said, and I respect where he's coming from, but I think he's not dealing with the reality of movie going and him thinking you can train the audience to come back to the movie theater. He doesn't speak about the people in the movie, and he doesn't do it because those are the people going to see his movies. So he doesn't want to affect his bottom line. So he has no problem criticizing the studio, but he'll be damned if he'll criticize the moviegoers who go to the movies and talk all through the movies and play on their phones and eat loudly during critical emotional moments, or disrespectful to the experience of other people seeing the movies. He won't talk about that because that's attacking the fan base that puts dollars in his pocket, but he'll happily attack the studios. That's an easy attack, but this is a much more complex issue than them bad, we good. There's much more going on than he's admitting in this conversation. And I would have actually pushed back on him if I was there and leading the interview and saying, don't you think this or that? But he might have stormed off. Who knows? So But again, I love Tarantino as a director. I love his movies. Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 are fucking masterpiece classics, and they are my number one. That's my number one film of his. Then it's Reservoir. Then I think it's Pulp. Then Hateful Eight. Then Inglourious. Simply because Sam Levine is in there, I have to push it down lower my list. No, I'm joking. I just don't like that ending. It's such a fantastical nonsense ending. Then I guess Jackie Brown. Then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And maybe the Death Proof one after that. So. Yeah, so but I mean, he's never directed a bad film. I don't think he has. So he has every right to speak his mind, obviously. And he's coming from a place of experience, having been a filmmaker who has to work with the studio. But I also know the studios, man, they're doing their best to make money in a environment that at any moment could just explode or implode rather. And everything will go to VOD. And then what do we do then? So. All right. Yeah, Smithy says no one ever includes 4. Well, because I think that's more of a one act, right? That's not really a full movie. It's kind of a short film. So I don't know if I necessarily put that in my mind for sure. Oh, David Banner. Tarantino's an overrated act. David. Maybe you're the Hulk right now, David. Calm down, Dave. Pull it back, David. I think you're being dumb, Hulk. Pull that back a little bit, David. Tarantino is an incredible filmmaker with a dialogue and story that is, to me, rarely rivaled with filmmakers nowadays. But yeah. All right, let's see if I've got any more Streamlabs and Superchats before I wrap this thing up here. Thank you all so much. I didn't expect to go this long, but hey, you guys have stuck around this long. Almost 300 of you sticking around for a majority of this. Thank you so much. Chris Corcoran says, we already said that. Haunted_Autumn says, I am a cinephile. I worked at a movie theater for nearly a decade. The cinema was my church. Theater etiquette has degraded to the point that even I don't want to go to the cinema anymore. This is the place I'm in. I got to be honest with you guys. I am still going to go to screenings. I am still going to review films on Rotten. I'm catching up on all my Rotten Tomatoes reviews because they threatened to take my account down if I didn't. So it's my apologies, and I'm filling in all my reviews where I can. But the reason I haven't done a lot of reviews recently is because I don't go to the theater to see a lot of these movies anymore because of the experiences I have when I'm there. I mean, now I'm even turning down screenings for movies sometimes if the publicists tell me that the theater is full, because I know what my experience has been 8 times out of 10. It's been sitting next to someone who is farting the whole time, talking the whole time, being disrespectful about the film the whole time, doing stupid shit. And that's been my experience. When it's press only, that is gold. I go, there's only 10 of us in there. I can sit far away from everybody to make my notes and enjoy the film solo. I can sit all the way in the back in an IMAX theater, which is great. Those are the screenings I go to. But the combined screenings here in San Diego have just been a phenomenal letdown for me. So now, unfortunately, I'm probably not going to do as many out of theater reactions as I did in the past, because I'm not going to see them when they go to the screening. I will wait until that Thursday or Friday the film comes out. I will take a look at my local movie theater. There's 2 of them that are right by my house. And I will see the screening that has the least amount of people in it. I will wait till the last possible minute that I can. And sometimes I've driven to the theater and waited until the last possible minute to make sure no one is sitting in those areas, and then bought tickets. I even went to see Twisters, where I thought only 15 people were in the theater. And God damn it, like a whole family sat next to me. I moved away, and then the dude sitting behind me started falling asleep and snoring through the movie. And so this is where you just go, man, I don't want to go unless nobody's in the fucking theater. And that's kind of where I'm at, which is why some of these movies I'm waiting until they come out on VOD or something for me to watch them, because it's just too uncomfortable of an experience. And it kills the love you have for movies. As Haunted_Autumn said, I mean, I am a cinephile. I am certified a cinephile with my podcast, and I only want to enjoy movies purely and honestly when I go to the movie theater. And I can't do that when everyone is acting like an ass in the movie theater. So that's the truth of the life. Planet said, on the bright side, you really love Twisters. No, I thought Twisters was terrible. David said we went to the same screening. Did we, David? Did we, David? Yeah, David said, yeah, I went to the screening. Someone snored throughout the entire. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And mine wasn't even a screening. I just bought a ticket to go see a regular showing of the movie, and the guy was falling, and I wanted to shake, because I've gotten into verbal battles in the movie theater. I've had people assault me with their elbows. I've had people try to fight me because I wouldn't move over for their family who came 10 minutes late, so that I sat in the shit chair while they sat in the middle. Nah, man, I don't do any of that. I honor my experience in a movie theater and what have you. And so I've gotten into verbal altercations in the middle of movies with people because they've been disrespectful and loud. But nowadays, you never know. So I try not to get involved with that because people are unstable nowadays. COVID changed a lot of things for a lot of people, and I don't want to risk getting shot or stabbed or someone waiting for me outside the movie theater and hitting me in the back of the head with a brick or a stone or whatever. And you may call that ridiculous, but I've seen some of the people I go to these theaters with, go to these screens with here in San Diego, and they do not look fully put together or fully all there. So I try to stay out of that stuff now at my advanced age, because I want to keep living and enjoying my life and enjoying the life of my lady outlaw, for God's sakes. Simon said, you missed my super chat regarding Mjolnir and not rising since Falcon and Winter Soldier. Rewrite 2 on the nose. No disrespect to French, but they did try to shortchange my mother. She's not stupid. Simon, I have no idea what you're talking about. Honestly, Simon, I would love to know these references that you're making, because none of this stuff makes any sense that you're saying. I'm looking for your one that I missed. I don't think I missed any of the ones that came through. Here it is. Simon Section says, yes, it's true. I've been softer than a marshmallow since COVID. I am worthy. I haven't had meow meow. I mean, never mind. Fluent in Spanish, me. French for 5 years. All I know is où les toilettes, où les toilettes, où les toilettes. There you go, Simon. I think that's the one I missed. Oh man, you have made this a fun show, Simon, because I have no freaking idea what you're saying. If anybody else can make sense of what Simon is saying, please let me know. This must be a decoder ring I do not own or do not possess, telling me that I must drink my Ovaltine. I don't know. Oh, by the way, did you guys see, speaking of Christmas Story, how sad is this? Peter Billingsley was at the Trump dinner with Vince Vaughn. Ugh, Peter Billingsley. Now he's gone full MAGA. That's such a shame. Such a shame. Anyway, all right, let me get out of here. I don't think I've got any more Streamlabs that have come through. Thank you to everybody who sent in donations and sent in love today. I appreciate you all madly. This was an impromptu show. I'm going to do more of these more consistently. As you can tell, I can just talk off extemporaneously for almost 3 hours, no problem with this stuff. And so if you guys enjoy hanging out with me, please look for more of these live shows. Of course, tomorrow night, the hot mic. Please remember to subscribe to the channel down below. Hit that bell button. If you're watching this later and you want to send some love for me doing the show, encourage me to keep doing the show, you can hit that thanks button down below and send in some support, send in some love that way as well. What else is that? Yeah, and please remember to watch all the stuff we got going on. We're going to record Geek Buddies, our main show, on Friday. Sadly, Shannon won't be joining us again because his work schedule has changed this week. He'll be back to normal next week, so we'll definitely be back, the three of us next week. So it'll just be me and Michael. If I can convince Christian or someone else to come on as a third, we will see for Friday. But if not, it'll just be me and Michael talking about all the stuff, including reviewing the first 2 episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And please remember to share this on all your social media. Let people know that this is happening here on the Outlaw Nation. Maybe they'll subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Would love to have that happen. So thanks to everybody who hung out today. You're the best. I love you madly. Take care of yourselves. And remember what I used to say in the old days? I'll say it again, and maybe I'll start saying it more and more as I do these live shows to end it. Remember, I've been through the hell. I've been through the dark times. I've been through the tough moments in life. And I just want to remind you all, as I've said for years now on my shows, whatever you need to do to get through the next second, next minute, next hour, next day, next week, next month, next year, especially year, because that's how we got to look at this world now. I hope you find your way to do it. I want you to find your way to do it, whether it's taking a walk, listening to music, meditating, even something as simple as stretching out, walking, hiking, working out, watching your favorite movie or television show, whatever, you're playing your video game, your favorite video game, whatever you need to get through those days, those moments in the dark times, please do them. And you do come out of them. You're still here because you come out of them. Always remember that, because I know I've been there. I've been in those dark moments where it feels like, you know what, I'm not going to make it out of this. But then you do eventually make it out. And so I want to encourage you all, if you get into those moments, remember that you have made it out of them before, and you will make it out of them again. And it is your mind playing tricks on you. And you've got to find that little piece of your mind that helps you hold on and get through those moments, even when it feels like this is it. This is the time. This is the moment. I can't take it anymore. There is a brighter world on the other side. There is a way. You will get through it. You will come out. There's a light at the end of the tunnel if you just get through it. Use your tools. Use your learned tools to get through it. It's really important. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out with me. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of what I call The Nation now, but what I might be calling very soon The John Rocha Show. Thanks so much for hanging out. Peace. Take care of yourselves. Be well. My best to all your families as well. And I'll see you soon.